Thank you very much, Alialviji. I'll give the floor to our legal director, Dr. Gabisa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heno Gabisa, and I'm the legal director at the UNITEDSIKHS International Human Civil Rights Department. We do a lot of work on advocacy, and we prepare reports about human rights issues that the Sikh community goes through everywhere in the world. It's been a blessing to just be here with the UNITEDSIKHS. This week, this summit is going to be an interesting platform for all of us to kind of exchange ideas, get to know each other, and just become a family. It's not going to end at the end of the summit. We'll just continue to engage and become one part of the family for the same cause, the cause of justice and equality. So I am looking forward to a very interactive, meaningful conversation and getting to know you. I am just pleased to be here. Welcome on board once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gabisa. I'll give the floor to Rahul. He'll introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I am Rahul Singh, and I'm responsible for the marketing efforts that UNITEDSIKHS does. I'm happy to be here, and I welcome you all for the 4-day-long Sikh Summit, and I hope you have a great time, and we get to learn a lot of things.
Yeah. Bhupinder can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Waheguru Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ki Fateh, and welcome everyone. So wonderful to meet all you all. I am Bhupinder. I work for the UNITEDSIKHS Umeed Helpline, and in a few hours I'll be going into detail about exactly what the Umeed Helpline is. I am a mom of 3 boys that are 15, 12, and 5, and my 5-year-old's here asking me to do his juda right now. So I'm a little sidetracked, but I can't wait to talk to all of you all soon.
Thank you, Bhupinder. Harpreet, our volunteer management team leader, you can go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Hello, everybody. Waheguru Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ki Fateh. I'm very excited to get for the summit this year. It's my first year being a part of it, first year helping organize. Just so much excitement in the air. Some of you may recognize my voice. I was the one helping call everyone to get the introduction going with the couple of questions that we asked you. It was so great to learn about all the participants and the varied backgrounds that they come from. You know, some of you guys are students, some of you are young professionals in your own right. In various fields. We have some people that are, you know, established in their fields. So I think everybody has something to gain from this summit and is taking valuable time out of their schedule to be here. And we're very excited for that. We're very grateful. And we have a great lineup of speakers for you guys. And if you have any questions, you can definitely chat in the WhatsApp group and let us know. Otherwise, this is Harpreet again, Harpreet Bindra and Harpreet Kaur Bindra. And I'm just excited to be here helping with the volunteers, volunteer manager, regional coordinator, what have you, multiple roles, but great to be here.
Thank you, Harpreet. We also have our civil rights fellow here with us, Devandeep Kaur. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, Devandeep.
Hello, everyone. Waheguru Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ki Fateh. My name's Damdeep Gill, and as he said, I'm the Civil Rights Fellow under him. It's been an awesome time working with UNITEDSIKHS. I'm super excited for the summit. This is also my first time participating and being behind the scenes, and I'm really excited to see all the speakers and get to know everyone in the Zoom call. And yeah.
Thank you. Gurpreet, you want to take from here? Gurpreet is not muted, unmuted. I guess we probably might be having some technical difficulty with our CEO Gurpreet. So let's just go ahead and hear from you just briefly what your expectation is. Introduce yourself, where you are attending this summit. Take about 45 seconds and let's just get to know you. So I'm just going to call on names since the order is not really uniform across the board. So what I have here is I have Simran Bains. Raul, I don't think she can unmute herself.
I just made the change.
Sat Sri Akal, everyone. Vaiguru Ji Ki Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Simran Bains. I'm coming to you from Chicago. I'm a senior at DePaul University. I'm 20 years old, and I study applied diplomacy with plans to get my master's, focusing on religious nationalism and genocide. Thank you very much, Simran.
I see, I might just butcher the pronunciation. I really apologize. Bipanpreet Kaur.
Hi, this is Rupanpreet Kaur. I'm coming to you guys from New York. I am currently a behavior therapist. I recently joined UNITEDSIKHS, and I love the work that you guys do, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
Thank you very much. Bipanpreet.
Hi, good morning. Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh. I am Bipinpreet. I am a junior at Penn State University. I'm from Pennsylvania. I am super excited for this summit. My family has tons of, my family is very involved in Sikh advocacy. So I'm an aspiring attorney, and I'm hoping to get involved in Sikh advocacy. I love the efforts of UNITEDSIKHS, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Great. I apologize. I had some technical problems. My laptop is acting up, so I'm joining with my phone. So I apologize for that. Yeah, please continue, Dr. Gabisa.
Okay, I see Prabjit here.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Vaiguru Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Prabjit Singh Baga, and I am from the West Coast and based in San Jose, California. I work at Cisco Systems as a technical marketing engineer, been 10 plus years now, so quite some time, but wanted to give back to the community, help our fellow Sikhs and others across United States and rest of the world, and love what United Sikh does, and very pleased to be involved and looking forward to working together.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jujhar Singh.
Hello, everybody. This is Jujhar Singh, and I am living in Denton, Maryland, just near to New York and Washington, in the middle of that. And I am new in the United States and came in like 6 months back. And I am pursuing my master's in journalism. And I have a rich experience in pharmaceutical in India, but I moved here recently. And I'm pursuing my master's in journalism from MIT University. And also, I have participated in few of events, like a first time happened 2 years back, Sikh Youth Parliament. So it was a big event and very successful event, and around 200 youngsters joined that event, and it was totally to talk about the Sikh rights and Sikh way of living and how to build a kind of structure where everybody gets equal rights, like Khalsa Raj in 18th century. So it was the same based on that, and all the views were taken from youngsters studying in college and school. So that was a very successful event. So I have experience in those events too. So thank you everybody for giving a chance.
Thank you very much. Welcome aboard.
Thank
you. I see Zoro. Would you mind putting your video on during your introduction?
Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hello, my name is Robert Singh, and it's my first time being here in the summit. I'm from the East Coast in New York and a student. I love what the United Sikh has to offer for all of us, especially me, since I want to explore politics and endeavor into my culture. So thank you for having me.
Thank
And what part of New York are you from?
Oh, I'm from Long Island.
Where in Long Island?
Oh, just on the west side in Syosset.
I see. Okay, great, wonderful. Yeah, no, I'm from Long Island. That's why.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, great. Welcome.
I see Mr. Noor Singh.
Yeah, please turn on your camera, sir.
Hey, hello. Hello, we can hear you. Can you please turn your camera on for us?
Yeah. Apologies. I'm on the road right now, so I won't be able to turn my camera on. But I'll quickly introduce myself as well. Noor Singh, based out of work. Graduated from Drexel. Predominantly, I work in the finance field, doing portfolio management and capital allocation. More on the investing side of things, I have a niche in fund strategy. So just exploring how the work is being implemented on your side and how it intersects with macro.
Thank you. We do appreciate this.
Thank you.
I do have Kwarjit Singh here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm gonna try to turn on my camera, but my camera's not working. But I'm Korjit. I go a lot of back and forth. I'm actually from Canada, but I'm in US a lot. And I'm a journalist and I'm working for a few different publications.
Thank you very much. Welcome. I have Jagnur Singh.
Fix my mic and put on my camera. 1 second. Haji, Waiji Khalsa, Waiji Fateh. Sorry, I'm at my grandparents' house moving some stuff around. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm very interested in Sikh advocacy throughout college. Never really had the time to focus on that, focusing on the engineering discipline and whatnot. But ever since, getting more involved with the Panth, reaching out, meeting fellow like-minded Singhs and Singhya, I've been able to connect with other people, see their like-minded philosophy, and looking forward to exploring that here this week as well.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm sorry, where did you say you're from? I'm not sure your grandparents.
Sorry. I just heard New York kind of flowing. I'm by New York, New Jersey.
Okay.
So I missed the first few minutes. I don't know if there was a few give your age or like where you're studying kind of spiel, but location and just kind of like an icebreaker, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's an icebreaker, but it's more than that because we have a network all over the country, and so we build connections and volunteers and people that want to connect with us going forward. So it always helps to know where you are. So you said you're from New York or New Jersey? I'm a little confused.
New Jersey, but I work in New York, so I'm always trying to learn more about different Sanghats in the area. There's a lot of stuff that I've realized goes in different ways when it's like in New York with Gurdwara Sahib or New Jersey, a lot of different people and a lot of different philosophies.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I live in New York. Dayalviji lives in New Jersey, but I'm in, we go to New Jersey a lot. And so are you by Jersey City?
Close enough. I went to school in Hoboken, so I live by the Glenrock Gurdwara Sahib, right by Emmett. So lucky to be close to all of it.
Yeah, because when you said New York, New Jersey, I think Hoboken, Jersey City are like right on the border. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm glad you're already doing seva. So thank you. Hanok, you have the floor.
Yeah, I have Saranjit here. Saranjit just introduced herself earlier. Jenny. Parveen Mundi.
All right, I think my camera is turned. Here we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Parveen. I'm based in the Chicago area. I'm in my final year of school here, political science major. I'm already involved in a couple of organizations, so I'm really just hoping to get to meet some new people. Right now, I'm the national chair of the Sikh American National Youth Council, which is housed within SALDEP. And I also founded an Asian advocacy organization, so working across different Asian identifying communities. But that organization is international. So really just getting to know, wanting to know more folks and organizations that folks are involved in.
Thank you very much for coming on board. We have Kirat. Or Johnny, go ahead.
Hey guys, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Sorry, my mic wasn't working. It's good now. So it's I'm so sorry. One second. Yeah, this is Johnny, and I'm from New York, Long Island, New York, and this is my first time attending anything like any kind of summit. I grew up in India, and I have about I know the ground reality in India.
Recording in progress.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry. I was just.
Thank you, sir. Welcome aboard once again. We have next Sakrat Kaur. Or Tajveer, iPhone.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Tejveer Singh. I'm from New Jersey, like Bergen County area, and I go to high school.
Tajveer, have you been to the Sikh summit last year?
Yeah, I was there last year.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone who has not introduced themselves yet? Please take the floor and introduce yourself. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it. Gurpreet, I'll just yield back to you. We will have the second session in the next few minutes. So let's just go ahead and take the floor, Gurpreet.
I would like to give the floor to Hadialviji and Rahulviji, if you can please turn on the presentation. I request Hadialviji to give a high-level introduction of the organization. We have a PowerPoint presentation, which our colleague and sister Harpreet will go over in the volunteer management section in depth. But we just want to give you a high-level overview of what United Sikhs is, so that while you are in the summit, you have a better understanding. You have the floor, Viji. And Rahul Viji, please start. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Yes, thank you, Deepik Viji. Waheguru Ji Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Once again, welcome to the Sikh Summit. United Sikhs, and as an introduction, which my colleagues will go more into the deeper layers of each one of them. is introduced as a global humanitarian and legal advocacy organization. We do quite a bit of projects that fall under various categories, and we'll just talk at a high level as to what it is. UNITEDSIKHS was founded in 1999 in New York City. We were like five of us, who were interested in helping out the immigrant community, and that's how this work started. And it started surprisingly at the, which you'll be surprised to hear, at Richmond Hill Gurdwara Sahib in New York City and in Queens, where there were immigrants who were pouring in. We're talking about 1990. I would say actually 1999, the organization was registered, but the work began probably in 1997. When we were going to the Gurdwara Sahib, we were looking at understanding the problems that the immigrants were facing. Most of it was related to English as a second language, then immigration-related matters and issues, bullying issues, and those factors that were there. So we were helping out as volunteers, and then we realized that we need to formalize and have a organization because there are other factors that need to be considered. And then we started the process a year later, like 1990, end of 1998 onwards or something. And then in 6-7 months, we actually got our registration and completed, and UNITEDSIKHS was created. And then after that, it's a long journey. We met so many great volunteers and people from various leaderships that came and assisted the organization to be where it is today. We wouldn't be here without the effort of all these people, great people who have been with us in the past and today who are with us. So every aspect of that counts, to make us where we are. And of course, under the strong legion of the volunteers and our donor community that's there, that actually helps us to carry this whole gamut of the work that UNITEDSIKHS does forward. Essentially, UNITEDSIKHS is broken down into 3 pillars. We have a humanitarian aid wing, we have a legal advocacy wing, and a community development wing. There are experts in each one of them who will talk about these spaces later on. I won't go into much depth. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so like I said, there are 3 pillars. These are capabilities that we offer. Overall, we have a humanitarian aid wing, like I said, legal advocacy, and community development. These 3 pillars are supported under the base by our the operations wing, the marketing, PR, and media communications, the human resources and finance, grants and fundraising, security aspect, that is basically, which is making sure that our volunteers are safe when they travel. We make sure that we align with the right agencies over there. And then volunteer management, which is of course managing a whole life cycle of volunteers, which is never a complete process because it is you're dealing with so many issues that are concerns the lives of people and interacting with them, and then really taking that phase that they have, where they want to give out to the community, to a target state of where the project is and getting it accomplished now. And of course, these are supported by data management and IT operations, basically, which is Rahul and his work, and where all the data that we have, we keep it secure, we keep it safe. We also have a whole IT management and softwares and middleware layers that we use for legal work, for task management work, and other things. So these are just the capabilities that UNITEDSIKHS offers. Yeah. And then as a UNITEDSIKHS volunteer, you could be coming in based on your skill or where you want to take your professional career into any of these areas and spaces. We have had many people who have worked as volunteers with us. Today, they are directors in the DOJ. They are heads of certain government agencies. They're working in the DHS. They're working with the FBI, a branch of the DOJ, and in various spaces and quarters. They who have come and joined us and have later on moved on into the government space. And also in the private spaces. As a matter of fact, there's some
people like me moved from Department of Homeland Security into UNITEDSIKHS, so it's a two-way traffic.
Right, the two-way traffic, of course.
Yeah.
So,
and sorry for interrupting you, Vijay. Senator Dhingra is waiting for us. So
oh, sure. Yeah. So please, hi everyone. Yeah. So welcome, Senator Dhingra. Thank you so much for joining in. You see over here, we're really honored to have her amongst with us. And yeah, so yeah, having said that, this is just introduction of UNITEDSIKHS, and we'll go into each of those other pillars. And then from there, I'll give the floor over to Senator Dhingra, who's actually also standing to be the Attorney General of Washington State. So I had a great opportunity to meet her just probably a few weeks back in New York City, and it was really, really great seeing what she's canvassing for, what she stands for, and very empowering as to what she believes in and wants, wants to carry those challenges forward ahead at the state level. So welcome, Senator Dhingra. Thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to having conversations.
Yeah, Damandeep, if you could please introduce the senators.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Damandeep Gill. I'm a Civil Rights Fellow at UNITEDSIKHS, and I'm here to introduce our first speaker of the day, Senator Monica Dhingra, State Senator for Washington's 45th Legislative District and Deputy Majority Leader of the Senate. Senator Monica Dhingra is a distinguished attorney and politician born in Bhopal, India. She boasts an impressive educational and professional background, having graduated from the University of California, Berkeley. With over 2 decades of experience as a prosecutor and behavioral health expert, Senator Dhingra has made significant contributions to her field. Since her election to the Senate in 2017, she has demonstrated her commitment to mental health by establishing the Senate Behavioral Health Subcommittee. As a senior deputy prosecuting attorney with the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office since 2000, she has chaired the Therapeutic Alternative Unit, where she played a crucial role in developing and overseeing the Regional Mental Health Court, the Veterans Court, and the Community Assessment and Referral for Diversion Program. An advocate for mental health from the outset, Senator Dhingra champions various issues, including domestic abuse among South Asian women, suicide prevention justice, equity in government, and much more. So without further ado, welcome the Senator.
Good. I was going to say good morning, but it's good afternoon for all of you. Good morning for me from Washington State. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here with all of you. I'm very excited to see the level of engagement here. As you heard, thank you for the great introduction. My name is Monica Dhingra. I am the Deputy Majority Leader of the Washington State Senate. I chair a Law and Justice Committee. I sit on Healthcare and Ways and Means, and I am running to be the next Attorney General. And one of the questions I get asked the most is, how did you get involved in politics? And I will say, I never saw myself getting involved in politics. I never thought I would ever run for office. I always knew that I wanted to go to law school. And so I went to University of California at Berkeley and did a lot of work around domestic violence, sexual assault, worked at a shelter in Oakland called A Safe Place. And then I came to the University of Washington for law school and was always involved in gender-based violence. I helped start CHAYA, which is a South Asian organization helping survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and trafficking at a time when most people in our communities did not want to acknowledge that domestic violence occurs in our communities. Because as South Asians, I think we really buy into the model minority myth, really wanting to come across as being perfect when we know that is not how people and individuals are. And so I was really proud to actually work at the Attorney General's office in the Sexually Violent Predator Unit, clerked at the State Supreme Court, and then spent 2 decades at the prosecutor's office. I considered myself a good Democrat, and I voted. And that was the extent of my political engagement, obviously having the wonderful political discussions around dinner tables and with family. And then Trump won. I was actually really impacted by that race. I have, like I mentioned, spent my entire career working on behalf of survivors of violence, and we had just elected a president who was bragging about sexually assaulting women. His rhetoric incited an increase in hate violence across our country. And I had started getting involved in addressing hate crimes after 9/11, when the Sikh cab driver was assaulted in Seattle. So I did a lot of work around addressing hate crimes, still continue to do that. I was part of the Seattle Police Department's Muslim Sikh Arab Advisory Council. And again, we had this person who was inciting hate. And then we had elected someone who was also making fun of people with developmentally disabled, who had mental health challenges. And so it really felt like the work that I have done my entire life had just been under attack because of who we had elected to be the leader of this country. And so I actually went to my very first political Democratic Party meeting that December. And I remember walking into that room and really being shocked because the organizers did not expect so many people to show up. And when I looked around the room, it was standing room only. And so many of the people that were there were actually women my age, mothers who I recognized from the PTSA. And so many of us were there for the first time because, like me, so many, frankly, mostly women, felt like they had to do something and they didn't know what that was. A friend of mine who is now the mayor of Redmond was then Redmond City Council, and she saw me there. And she said, Manka, we have to have coffee. And so we met for coffee, and the first question out of her mouth was, are you thinking of running for office? And I said, I don't know. I said, I know I have to do something. I just don't know what that something looks like. And she said, you should run for the Senate. We had an open Senate seat because the senator had passed away in office. So we were going to have a special election in my district. And the first words out of my mouth, which I now know are a complete cliche, were, I don't believe I'm qualified. And this is something especially women of color say over and over again. And you know how in those cartoons you see people who fall off the chair laughing? She actually did that in front of me in person. She literally fell off the chair laughing. And she said, you're the most qualified person I know. And so, you know, I just still wasn't bought into the idea that I should run for office. And then two very specific things happened that really made me change my mind. That December, there's a local mosque in Redmond, and a very large mosque. They have hundreds and hundreds of people. They had a safety forum in the auditorium. There must have been close to 1,000 people there. We had 6 of our police chiefs, and I was there. And I'm sitting in this room where people are asking whether they should buy a car, whether they should buy a house. They didn't know if they would be allowed to live in this country. And I remember sitting there thinking, you know, I come from a Sikh family. My husband wears a turban, my Dadaji wears a turban, my brother wears a turban. And we had instances growing up in California, but we never felt like we didn't belong in this country. And 2 days later, I was at the Indian Association of Western Washington, where I was presenting on hate crimes, along with an FBI agent and a local US attorney. And it was the same thing over and over again from Indians in our community, where one of them, their child had actually been told in school that they're going to get deported. And we live in a very affluent, highly educated district. And so it was that weekend when my husband and my kids, we sat down and we chatted, and we decided I was going to run for office because it is so critical that people who look like us, people who come from our communities, be represented in the halls of power. You know, we as a community tend to be affluent. We're business people, we're doctors, we're engineers, you know, we're teachers, but not many of us are in positions where we can make political decisions. And so February 14th, I announced I was running for the Senate. It was the shortest time period from first political meeting to announcing I'm running for the Senate. I mentioned there was an open seat. What I didn't mention is that this was the first election after Trump where we had the possibility of flipping chamber. So everyone thinks of, I call this the good Washington, sorry, DC. We call you guys the other Washington. So in the good Washington, people assume we're a very liberal state, but our Senate was actually controlled by the Republicans by 1 seat. So when I ran, we had the opportunity to flip our state, turn Washington blue, and basically create the wall of blue on the West Coast. This is when they also started talking about the blue wave that's going to sweep the nation and starting on the West Coast. And so I can tell you, even with our liberal Democrats, the Democrats would ask me, so what role does your husband want to play in your election? Because he had a turban, he has a beard, all of that. And I said, we're a proud Sikh family. He will be in all my campaign materials, as will be our dog Sheru. Because I was very clear, when I show up as my authentic whole self. And that includes being proud of our religion, being proud of our culture. And so He was out there campaigning with me on all my literature, on all our materials. And it was a tough race because it was for the control of the Senate. But I'm honored that I won by quite a large margin. And so I've been in the Senate for the last 7 years. And I've just been really proud of a lot of the work that I've done in the Senate. I've played a pivotal role in a lot of the major wins that I think Sikhs, progressive Democrats believe in. I fundamentally believe that Sikhi values are very much aligned with progressive democratic values, where we believe in seva, where we believe in equality, we believe in taking care of others. And so the work that I've done in the Senate has been about expanding access to voting rights, expanding access to reproductive rights, gender-affirming care, making sure that we are expanding protections for our environment, making sure that we are working on worker safety. And I'm really proud to actually have done a lot of work around mental health and the 988 crisis line. And, you know, Washington is known for a lot of things. We are first in many aspects of policies, but mental health hasn't traditionally been something where Washington has really been leading the way. But when we had the opportunity to really help create a 988 crisis system, Representative Orwell and I took that opportunity to put into place how we would want our loved ones to be treated if they were in crisis. And after we were done, I was really proud to have actually received an award from Mental Health America, where Washington's 988 crisis system is now the national model for the rest of the country to follow. We are still the only state that has a native and strong line to really make sure that Native Americans get the culturally competent services that they need. They tend to have some of the highest suicide rates, mental health, and substance use disorder rates in the country. And our governor is retiring, and so our attorney general is running to be the next governor. And so now we're in a position where we have the opportunity for an open attorney general seat. And so I am running to be the next attorney general. And to me, it's really important that we have an attorney general who's going to stand up and fight for all Washingtonians. And when I say fight for all Washingtonians, what we do on the West Coast, what we do in Washington, what we do in California, what we do in so many other states have ramifications on how policies are enacted for the rest of the country. I was really proud that our last attorney general is the one who stood up and filed a lawsuit against the Muslim ban. The state of Washington has filed 99 lawsuits against the Trump administration and won nearly all of them. And this is about really making sure we are protecting our fundamental rights. And as Attorney General, we know that we have to continue to do that because we are the last line of defense when it comes to, frankly, being in a position where we have to protect the rights of individuals. So there are two scenarios in November. Either Trump comes back, and when he does, or if he does, we know that immigrants' rights, women's rights, LGBTQI rights are all going to be under attack. And it is going to be up to each state to stand up and fight for them and defend them. We in Washington passed a bill called Keep Washington Working, where we actually authorize our agencies and our law enforcement within the state of Washington to not cooperate with ICE and federal agents if it is for them to deport immigrants. And so it's going to be very, very critical if Trump comes back into the White House that we are in a position to protect immigrants. Because when they want to stop individuals who they think they don't belong, they're talking about us, people who look like us, because they're going to think we don't belong because of the way we look. And we cannot live in a country where that happens, because that is not what America has ever been about. That is the ideal we want to get to. And so it is important to make sure that we are fighting for that ideal. But I'm going to assume that Trump does not come back in November. And in that case, I really want to make sure that as Attorney General, that I am doing a lot of work around consumer protection. You know, the manner in which all of us, especially our elderly, are targeted for fraud is becoming more and more sophisticated. We have to make sure that our policies keep up with the laws, and that as government, we actually go out into different communities and do education and outreach, because the vast majority of people don't know how to access government. And I fundamentally believe that there is no point in government if people cannot access it. So as Attorney General, it's really important that we do that, where we build relationship within communities and make sure they understand the role of the Attorney General. I'll tell you a quick story. My Dadaji and Dadiji lived in California. And when my Dadaji passed away, my Dadiji was, I think 90 or 89, and she insisted she had to live in her house by herself. And one day my Bua comes home and finds these reverse mortgage papers on the table. She was able to get them addressed, but it turns out that the groups of individuals who actually take a look at obituaries, and when they know an elderly person has passed away, they go in and pray on the surviving spouse, because they know this is a period when they are extremely vulnerable, they are going through trauma, they're may not fully understand what is happening with financial situations, and they go in and they try to take advantage. So we have to make sure as Attorney General, we're actually doing that education and outreach within communities so that they understand what their rights are and the role the Attorney General's office can play in protecting them. And I can tell you the manner in which people whose last names sound like mine are targeted differently than mainstream society is. The second priority I'll mention is access to healthcare. It is critical to me that regardless of where someone lives, that we have access to healthcare, from the top of our heads all the way down to our toes, to really make sure that we have good quality, affordable healthcare. Healthcare is a basic right. We cannot have people going into debt or going into poverty simply because they need to access healthcare for themselves or their loved one. Washington actually has some of the most merged system, healthcare systems in the country. And about 2/3 of our hospital beds are faith-based beds, which is extremely problematic, especially when we are trying to ensure that everyone in our state has access to reproductive rights and gender-affirming care. So we really need an Attorney General who has a background in healthcare, who is able to go in and take a look at what is happening with hospital mergers, insurance mergers, pharmacy mergers, taking a look at pharmacy benefits managers. The third thing I'll mention, I would love to open it up for questions because I think that's always more exciting, is environmental protections. As in my introduction you heard, I was actually born in Bhopal, India. And my father actually worked for the Union Carbide Gas Company. And this is still, I think, one of the worst environmental tragedies of modern times. And he used to complain all the time about safety violations, and he was not taken seriously. And so he ended up resigning. And 2 years later, he passed away at the age of 40. And that is when my mother, a young widow who was 33, moved to this country so that my brother and I could have a better life. And so it's really important to me that we have clean water, that we have clean air, that we're taking a look at cancer clusters in our country and in our state, and that we're taking a look at lead in our soils, because we have to make sure the next generation grows up healthy. That is why so many of us do the work that we do, is to really make sure that our children have a better life than we did. And so to me, it's really important that the next Attorney General be focused on holding polluters accountable. And so it is this commitment to justice, for standing up for people and fighting to ensure that all our rights are protected, that motivates me to run to be the next Attorney General. And I'll just say that if or when elected, I will be the only immigrant Attorney General in the country. And I don't have to tell all of you that with the anti-immigrant rhetoric coming from both sides of the political spectrum, we really have to make sure that we can have an honest conversation on what it means to be an immigrant in the United States, how immigrants have basically helped develop this country. We had Sikhs in the US from the 1500s helping to build the railroads and the farms. And so we have to be able to talk about our history, about our culture, what we bring to this country, and how immigrants are the ones that are going to continue to help make this economy flourish. So with that, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here with all of you and for sharing my story. And I would love to answer any questions you may have.
Also had the privilege of meeting her along with Adiyalviji and Rahul at this very special event in New York City. We're so proud of the great work you're doing, not just for our community, but for the entire country. Um, and I can't emphasize more how much rides on this election, and in so many ways. Senator, I would like to ask you, what advice would you like to give to youngsters that would like to work in public service? And specifically, what steps can they take? Many of them could be in school, college. So what specific steps they can take now that would lead them down this path? Like for my father, for the UN, and when I was 17, I was volunteering in the UN because I knew that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. So please explain. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Gurpreet. This is where I worry about what I'm telling our kids as a traditional Indian parent. You all don't have to be doctors and engineers. And to me, I think it's really important as a next generation that you follow your passion. And all of you, the youth, you guys have the privilege and the luxury to actually follow your passion, because your parents have worked hard to come to this country, or your grandparents have, so that you have these opportunities. So that's where I would start. I think for those of you who are in high school or even middle school, really think about what you want to do and do what makes you happy and that gives you joy in your life. And I'll say everyone loves free labor. So don't be afraid to actually go up to people and ask them for volunteering opportunities. You can join clubs, you can join nonprofit organizations, you can even join political organizations. People love involving the youth. When I ran in 2017, like I mentioned, I had a very quick engagement in politics, but my kids were in 7th grade and 9th grade. And I used to coach the Destination Imagination team. I was a chess coach, math coach, just spent a lot of time with the PTSA. And so when I said I was going to run for office, many of these kids wanted to know if they could get involved. And I said, absolutely. So we had a teen campaign committee. We engaged 150 youth volunteers that first 2 years, because I ran in 2017, as I mentioned, as a special election. And so 2018 was my normal election. This year, even on my Attorney General's race, we have a youth campaign committee. We have over 70 youth volunteers on my committee. So there are lots of opportunities, and there may be opportunities that people haven't thought of. But if you ask, they will create and make room for you. People, adults, really want to see that youth engagement. So I highly recommend that you reach out and offer your services. So after the election, I had a lot of great conversations with our youth, and so many of them had wonderful ideas. So every year in the legislature, I actually sponsor bills that have been brought to me by the youth. Don't think you can't do that. If you have bill ideas, if you want to make changes to the law, contact your local legislators. I can tell you that so many of them will be so excited to hear from you. So don't be shy about it. In the state of Washington, we provide free menstrual products in all our schools and colleges. That's because youth in my district brought me that bill. We no longer have taxes on menstrual products because youth in my district brought that bill to me. And just this last session, we had some youth members who wanted to make sure that schools supplied bleed kits. And this is really hoping that there are no mass shootings, but even in other scenarios, if someone gets hurt and they're bleeding, to make sure that there were bleed kits available. And when I introduced the bill, the American trauma surgeons actually called me and said, Senator, we're very excited about this bill. Can we help? So in the Senate and in the House, in the committees that were hearing this bill, we had testimony from teenagers and then from trauma surgeons in Washington. And that collaboration was just so fantastic, and everyone paid attention, because you normally do not see bills where you have the youth and trauma surgeons testifying on it. We ended up having the bill signing at the University of Washington. I will say many of these youth were Indian kids who were going to go into medicine. So they had an incredible networking opportunity meeting these surgeons and the head of the medical department at the University of Washington. So you never know where your ideas, where your passion may take you, but never be afraid to offer your services and ask how you can help. I see
Thank
a
you so
lot
much.
of hands.
Thank you. I see a lot of hands, so we are running out of time. So I'll give the floor to Simran. I apologize if I'm not taking them in the right order, but these are the hands I see. So Simran, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you so much, Senator Thangraji. That was really amazing to hear. I just had a quick question regarding like engaging our community. I think particularly within like older members of the Sikh community, it's a lot of times, even once they become US citizens, hard to like get them to understand that they are, just because the society doesn't really treat them that way. And I think especially with this upcoming election, a lot of people aren't like motivated to vote for Joe Biden. Like they understand that Trump is the worst option. But like they see what's happening, particularly in Palestine, and they see what happened to them in 1984, and they're seeing the US government not helping Palestinians in the same way they didn't help Punjabi Sikhs in 1984. So like how do you engage the community and make them like, motivated to vote?
You know what? This is why you youth give me so much hope and passion, because you guys get it. You guys are involved. It is very hard to involve the older community. And, this is where you go to the Gurdwaras and speak at Gurdwaras and show up, on Khalsa Day. So I'll tell you, like in the Senate, every year I celebrate Vaisakhi. I recognize Sikh contributions to Washington. And a lot of that is done to try to engage our Sikh community and the Indian community. I also celebrate Republic Day, where we make sure that we have prayers from Hindu, Muslim, Sikh people all together on the dais, is because you have to make it comfortable for them to engage in politics. A lot of them come from countries where the culture is, oh, politics are bad, politicians are bad. That's something we don't engage in. And so you have to create welcoming spaces where people feel comfortable going. And so that's why I specifically do these events in the Senate and invite the Sikh community and the Indian community come to create that comfort level to be in spaces that we traditionally don't feel comfortable. I do town halls all the time. But again, when I look out at town halls, we don't see our communities being represented. So I also do an annual picnic, because our communities show up in parks. And I'll see that where, the event starts and, the local people, everyone's around. And far in the distance, you'll see people who are there for this event, but they're hesitating. And then you'll see them come closer and closer as the event progresses. So one is about really making sure you are creating spaces where people feel comfortable going. And so this is where a lot of hand-holding also has to be done. Like when you do Sikh Day on the Hill, or when you have specific days where you can mobilize our community, you say, hey, come with us to the legislature. It doesn't just have to be DC. It can be the local city government, county government, state government, but really creating those days where you can recruit people and say, we will drive you there. We will lead you there. We will engage in these conversations. They're just becoming comfortable being in these spaces and having these conversations. Then you also have to have the content of those conversations, right? People want to know, what is it in for me? And this is where I say that while we as a community may be educated, affluent, we actually don't get the government help that we need when we need it. You can, if they're from the business community, you can say very clearly, our business communities don't get access to the same state dollars and federal dollars that other businesses do. And that's because there's not that level of engagement and understanding of what is going on in our business communities. So you got to make sure the messaging resonates with that. And I'll just mention one quick thing. I've been having a lot of conversations with our Muslim community and with our youth who are saying that they don't want to vote for Biden because of what's happening in Gaza. And what I tell them is, you have to be worried about international issues, but you also have to worry about whether in America a girl can wear a hijab and walk down the street. That is what is at stake. And so, yes, you can be disillusioned with politics, but that is when you have to make sure you continue to engage, because if you don't engage, nothing is going to improve.
Thank you so much, Senator. I see two more hands. I'll give the floor to Bipin Preet.
Hello, Senator Jengra. Thank you so much for your time. Honestly, it's very inspiring to see a woman of color, someone that comes from such a similar background to like myself and many others here. Like you're showing us that it's possible, like we can do it, we can be a representative. So thank you for that. My question to you is it's pretty specific. So I am currently a junior at Penn State studying biobehavioral health. And for my honors thesis, I'm looking for a topic and I want to focus, it has to like be around healthcare because I'm studying behavioral health. And I wanted to connect it to our community and like do research that will benefit the Sikh community and other communities of color. So in your experience in the healthcare field, what, if any, problems or kind of like what problems and challenges have you specifically seen our community deal with in the healthcare setting that you think would benefit from further research or further advocacy?
Thank you for that. You mentioned behavioral health. So I'm guessing you're talking about mental health, substance use disorder.
Yeah, pretty much everything that falls under behavioral health, that entire umbrella.
So I'm going to talk specifically about mental health because mental health is something that impacts families consistently across the country and the world. And there is so much stigma, especially in our communities, about addressing mental health. And we have to break down that stigma. We're seeing very heightened rates of anxiety, depression, everywhere. And so we have to be able to have an honest conversation, especially within our community, about what that means. I think that is an area where our community really does need the language and the destigmatization so that the youth can get the help they need. Not even just the youth, just everyone. So I think that is ripe for research and education. I've been on the board of NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, Eastside, for, oh gosh, like 12 years. And, I was one of the very few South Asians who was working in the mental health field. And slowly we've seen that change here. And that has to do with when people who look like us show up in these positions and have honest conversations. So I connected NAMI to Indian Association of Western Washington. They now have support groups. They actually have groups called Log Kya Kahenge, which means what will people say? Because that is the stigma talking. When someone is struggling with these issues in our community, the first thing is, oh, log kya kahenge, what will people say? Let's not talk about it. But you have to make sure you're talking about it in the same way you're talking about cholesterol. Everyone in the community wants to talk about BP. What's your BP level? That's what they should be talking about, depression and anxiety. And so I would challenge you to actually try to go into our communities and break down that stigma and understand where that stigma comes from and get data to really reflect that mental health issues occur in all communities. It is treatable. You can make sure you get the help just like you get for any other medical issue. So I would highly, highly recommend that you focus on that.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Mandeep.
Hi, I'll keep it short so that we don't run into any time issues, but it was lovely hearing what you had to say. And it was also very reassuring. I think like a lot of us are going through school right now and it's kind of like, okay, can I make it through? Is this like for me? And I think it was reassuring to hear what you said. I just had a quick question. Someone else also on this Zoom had something similar that they mentioned, but I have an advocacy organization called Wayne for Women, and it deals with like maternity health and infant and maternal mortality rates and period poverty. And I think one of my biggest questions for you is how do you hit that statewide and that national engagement to grow the amount of people who are focusing on these issues? I know that you talked about how you passed all these bills and you got these youth involved. What is your number one recommendation for getting people interested in making that change within your state?
You need a group of people. Once you have a dedicated group of people, and then you got to make sure, I'm guessing it's about political engagement, not just engagement with other nonprofits or other stuff, right?
I think just rallying a community who's also willing to put in the same effort that you are into these issues. Like, where do you find that outreach to get a group of people to do these donations, to make this money, etc.?
So that's always a tough work. Anyone who's done any kind of advocacy will tell you that's always hard. When I started Chaya, I literally went into Indian grocery stores and put up a flyer that said, interest in working with survivors of domestic violence, call this number, because you have to build your community, right? And it starts with a handful of volunteers. And then you have to make sure that you get that visibility. And that visibility is about making sure you're engaging with individuals who can highlight your message. And so, when you want to work on policy issues, really making sure you get, you coordinate with other people who are doing similar work. It cannot be the identical work because then clearly that need isn't there if other people are already doing the work. But you need to collaborate with people who are doing similar work so you can build that community. And if you're working on policy, this is where I say, don't be afraid to reach out to the chair of the policy committee. The vast majority of electeds always have meeting times for constituents and non-constituents. And that is how you kind of build that brand. But it is that hard work in the beginning where you truly are trying to identify who your community is. And that is just collaboration with others. And that's just how you grow. So, I'll tell you, when Chaya first started, is now API Chaya. Our first fundraiser was in a community center where we had the Costco tables and chairs, and I was sweeping the floors. Now, when you go to our fundraising events, they're like the gala of the year. It's sold out events and fancy hotels. So you get there, but those first 5 to 7 years are really tough. But it is about sticking with it, building community, collaborating with others, and really making sure that you are delivering something where there is a need in the community for. Excellent. Well, I don't see any other hands, so I'm just going to end by saying thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to be here. I have put my email address in chat. Feel free to reach out anytime. You can follow me on the socials. And I'll just say one other thing to our youth. There's a lot of pressure on you guys to be successful. I promise you, you will be successful. You may get there in different ways, but you will get there. And so take the time to enjoy life. This time never comes back. So be truthful to who you are, follow your passion, do the hard work, stick with your values, but you will all turn out just fine. So thank you for your engagement. Thank you for being here and giving me the space, and feel free to reach out anytime.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anu, please let us know next time you're in New York. There's a lot of people in Long Island that want to meet you. And there's some sort of an echo. Apologize for that. So I'm sorry we went over. Our next speaker is here, but thank you so much, Senator. And
thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm good to introduce the next speaker. Sorry for any mispronunciations. So first, I want to introduce Dr. Z. Bosson, MD. She is a psychiatrist, a child expert, and youth advocate, founder of InKids. So Dr. Zabina Bosson is a South Asian American child psychiatrist, Cornell-educated, diversity and inclusion expert, and mental health expert who is affectionately called Dr. Z by many. She is the founder of InKids, an ed tech company centered around educating children and families on other cultures and celebrations. Dr. Z's goal is to make inclusion normal and a daily part of family life. She is a mom on a mission to educate our children, celebrate diversity, and to change the world through play. Her expertise and the work to use games, toys, and fun to teach serious topics like diversity, inclusion, belonging, and more have taken her from news media like Good Morning America, Entrepreneur Magazine, Vogue Magazine, and most recently celebrated as Forbes' Next 1,000 Entrepreneurs. As a dynamic speaker, entrepreneur, and children's book author, Dr. Z is now the only South Asian woman on the Toy Association Board of Directors. She's also a member of the Concordia Board. As a South Asian woman-owned company, she is the first to ink a licensing partnership deal with Sesame Street. Dr. Z is also a Forbes contributing writer who has been named as 100 Women to Know. She lives by her mother's motto that we are more similar than we are different. Our differences make us unique, but they do not separate us. Her past experiences with childhood bullying and her current observation of a lack of cultural understanding with children sparked her global work. At InKids, creating toys and products designed to celebrate diversity is just the beginning. The company is expanding to broaden its reach through books, television, programming, classrooms, and businesses around the country. And we're doing it all with a single goal in mind, to make diversity no longer an issue and the cultural norm. So without further ado, welcome.
Thank you. I am so sorry, but I came in late from the past speaker, so I have no idea what you guys talked about, but I think there were some mental health conversations here. So if I repeat myself, I apologize. Do we want to, should I share my screen or do you, okay, you got it. All right, awesome. So I am on Spotlight, but I can't see anybody else. Is that possible so I could see everybody, or is there no way for me to see everyone? I'm just gonna, okay, there we go. That'd be helpful. Okay, Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you guys. I am so honored and grateful to be here today. The United Sikhs, the work you guys do, I am so, it's so thoughtful, and I wish I had it when I was your age and when I was younger, but it wasn't there. And I'm glad it is here now for the community, because I think it's so helpful, not only for the generation of now, but also for the past generations and for the adults and for the next generation coming. So let me introduce myself. Can we go to the next slide? Let's go to the next one. That's just kind of today's schedule. So let me talk about the bio that Damandeep read is a little bit of an older bio. It's okay, we'll update it soon. Yes, I am the founder of InKids. I launched the company in 2020 as a child and adolescent psychiatrist, working in healthcare for about 2.5 decades, deciding that my children, I'm born and raised in Southern California, and my children, who are also born and raised now in Southern California, also come from the Sikh and Hindu community, because my husband is Hindu Punjabi. And my daughter at 3 or 4 years old, when I was in preschool, kept saying, why do people keep asking me where I'm from? And it really took me aback, because I was like, what do you mean? You're 4 years old. Who would ask you that? And it was a real conversation, because I was like, it's not the children's fault in our communities or in other communities, or the teacher's fault or the adult's fault. There's no education out there talking about not only our communities, but us teaching our children about other communities. In communities, we tend to want to teach about our own community, whether it's the Sikh community or the Indian community or the Punjabi community. We forget there are communities out there that we need to educate our children about. So one of the things I wanted to do was bring in more education about cultures and celebrations of other communities to my children. So they not only have the keys to talk about their culture and their communities, but they could also be kind and empathetic to other communities. And that's why I launched InKids in 2020. As I started launching InKids, and we, unfortunately had the pandemic that occurred, I recognized the fact that there was a lot that kids needed, more than just education and more than just toys. And I was asked to speak all around the country about how do we create a space where we can talk to our children more, we can be empathetic with our children more. And so this past year, I launched a nonprofit known as Listen to the Kids. And Listen to the Kids is not just for kids. It's really for the adults and the youth, where we start a new conversation. But the conversation is more for us to listen to our youth and educate the adults around them on what their needs are, and taking our guidance so we can guide each other and then guide the next generation. So that's really a little bit about me. Yes, I am, next slide. So I am, as you all know, I am a Punjabi Sikh born here in Southern California. My father was Darshan Singh Paseen, who was a leader within the Sikh community here, not only in California, but also throughout the United States. He was one of the leaders who launched some of the organizations that you all have heard about. My father was the president of the Hollywood Sikh Temple, also when it was built. So I was raised in a very, very Sikh community in my household. And being also a Sikh leader's daughter is very difficult sometimes because you're also raised in a place where you're seen all the time. And my father's name, not only throughout here in the US, but throughout India, was very well known. So I was raised in a household that today we're relaunching and re-seeing some things that are being fought for within the Sikh community. And my father was one of the leaders of those in 1984. And so I and my brothers were very affluent to that. But that created also a space of not understanding my community and also being kind of taken back by it that we had issues that we didn't discuss and didn't talk about. And I think that was kind of a break where some of us growing up didn't recognize that our parents needed to listen to us and talk to us, not only about our culture and our community, but about the mental health things that were going on. And that we didn't have a space to discuss that. It was just going to the Gurdwara, learning our culture, learning our religion, but that was it. And we had to not have a conversation beyond that. So I went and became a physician, and I became a child adolescent psychiatrist and saw that not only in our country, but also in the US, there's a lot of things within our community we don't discuss. And as children and as young adults, it became a barrier and it separated us from our community. So that's where I became a doctor, a daughter, a mother, a sister, and a wife that had to actually represent the fact that we need to have these conversations more. Next slide. Well, this was a slide that I didn't need on here, but yes, we are part of the toy industry. We represent multiple cultures in our toys. And now that I am the founder and the forward-facing founder, we have been nationally nominated and awarded for multiple things that we do within our toys itself. Next slide. Okay, so this is really important and why we are talking about this today. I would like to see just a raise of hands, and I know a lot of you aren't there, but you can put your raised hands. How many of you growing up or now have talked about emotional wellness, mental health, social wellness in your families? I see 1, 2, 3. Not a lot. Not very common that we talk about this. Next slide. So let's talk about what is mental health. All right, what does that mean? There's this thing called MESH we talk about. It's called mental, emotional, social health. The definition of this is a person's condition with the regard that their psychological and their emotional well-being. So that's really what mental health is. It's just someone who has a regard to their own emotional and psychological well-being. Not bad, but good. What are common mental health issues that we see and that we have collected data in the youth? Anxiety, depression, that is dissolved from stress. And why is there this importance of addressing this mental health early in life? So when I ask you guys, do you talk about it in your family? How many of you talked about it when you guys were at the age of 7? Can you raise your hands if you've talked? How many of you talked about it when you were at the age of 11? How many of you talked about it when you were teenagers? And then how many of you have talked about it now within your youth adults? So it's probably like 4 of you, right? Yeah. Next slide. This is the problem. Why do I'm going to tell you guys a little story before I go into the challenges. So I am a prominent leader in the Sikh communities, a daughter of Darshan Singh Basim. And in our family, the first time we received a mental health issue was when I was 7 years old. And my grandfather, who is my father's father, had a bout of schizophrenia. And it wasn't discussed, it wasn't talked about, but he created a scene in our household that told my father to abuse someone in our household because he thought somebody was doing something behind his back. This is a real story. This was 7 years old and it was schizophrenia and he was diagnosed. I'm telling the story because this is real. This isn't something that I want to not express. But here was the unique challenge. Nobody talked about it. I don't know how many of you speak Punjabi, but in our household was koi gal nahi karda is de bare. Koi ide bare kuch chup kar jo. Bachchiਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਮਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਭੇਜ ਦੋ. 8 years later, we saw signs of other family members having mental health issues under the diagnoses of schizophrenia. Today, we have a number of families who have been diagnosed with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, and with the fact that it's trickling down into the next generation that is younger. We will never stop this cycle if we do not go and speak to it. And where the problem lies in the challenge is our cultural stigmas, which is koi gal na karo de bare, asi doctor kol nahi jande, asi jaake paठ kar lange te sab kuch theek ho jayega, aur jaake gurdware jaake baith ke kisi na gal karo. And unfortunately, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not trying to disregard our community, but our temples and our gurdwaras don't have the facilities. Just like within communities outside of ours, our schools don't have it. Our coaches don't have it. Our teachers don't have it. You cannot resolve an issue. You cannot resolve a challenge. You cannot resolve a problem without having the tools for it. But to have the tools for it, you have to release the stigmas for it. And that starts with our generation, and then goes to the generation after me. And then it goes to the generation after that. And what we have to do is we have to have the conversation. And that starts first in our households and our families. And it's not once, it's not twice, it's multiple times. So today I can tell you in my family, everyone who is diagnosed is on either medication, is in therapy, and is being helped. The challenges are still there. The older generation still doesn't want to tell anyone. The middle generation doesn't care. And the younger generation is ready to work with it. But you gotta start at home. And it is gonna be your generation that multiplies that conversation over and over and over again. Because the change will not happen unless we release the stigmas. And then most importantly, you now have to take it into your community. We have to go out there and have these conversations with our younger generation. How do we do it? Conferences like this, bringing in the younger youth and doing it in your Punjabi classes, doing it in your homes, doing it at the Gurdwara. But opening those doors, because if you don't, and bringing in speakers like the ones in our community who want to make the change. But it can't just start with one person. It has to be a community conversation. Next slide. Okay, so before we go into, I want this to be an interactive group discussion, because I could sit here and lecture you guys and tell you all, but you've heard it all. It's not a conversation unless we all sit together and do it. So I want to break us out in rooms, because I think the conversation is really important unless I hear what the challenges are, so we can create the new perspective how to go and work on those challenges. That's really how we're going to resolve these issues. We all know mental health is a problem. We all know we don't talk about it in community. We all know our parents don't want to talk about it. We all know our grandparents don't want to talk about it. But we need to know what are the identifications and the challenges we face, whether it is in our adult Sikh community or in our youth Sikh community. We want to discuss how do we infiltrate, it's really a word, we have to infiltrate within our families and our communities to start having these very serious conversations. And then I want to hear your personal experiences. Again, everybody doesn't have to share. Please know that I have been told this is a very private conversation. We are not sharing this outside of this. We can have these later if there's something specific. I will give you guys my emails. You guys can all reach out to me. But I want to have these conversations because this is our safe space. Unjudgmental, safe, and open-ended conversations. So I think, Rahul, you said you could help me break us out in rooms.
Yep. Couldn't do it now.
Right? Okay. So we're going to do that. All right. We're going to join rooms. And do you have the questions for them, Rahul, as they go into their rooms?
Oh, someone did that already, I think.
Oh, someone already started breaking them up. Okay,
Yeah.
I need to get the questions.
All right, hold on.
Can we send the questions in like a highlight on top, the first one?
Let me actually bring them back. Give me
Oh, can
one
you
sec.
bring them back? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I was prepping to do
Oh, you were
that.
prepping and someone already did it.
All right, sorry guys.
Sorry, we're gonna bring you back because we gotta give you the question first. There's
Yes.
4 or 5 questions.
Yep, it's on the screen. Can you see the screen?
Okay. I don't.
These- It's the agenda, right?
So no, there are more. There's a
Oh,
Okay,
this
so
one?
right here, yes. Okay. So what we're looking for in this conversation, and I'm hoping we can bring this up on a screen while you're in your breakout rooms. I know we only have 10 minutes, but I'd like to have a differentiate. Like, so what are we looking for in each of these groups? We're looking for key challenges to identify. What is the role of your family and community, and a personal experience and observation. Now, if you understand what we're looking for,
Hello?
you read these, sorry?
No. Yes.
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, no, that's okay. What we're looking for is the generics of these questions. So what are some mental health challenges you are facing? Do you see any family view of mental health in your issues? You know, is there hesitation? What kind of support do you want to need? And how can we improve the mental health in? So these are generic questions, but this is really the different key groups that we're looking for within this conversation. If we can give them these slides to help them, that would be great. And then let's go into our breakout rooms and let's have this conversation.
I'm gonna
I'd like
try
one
and-
person to take notes, so it'd be helpful to talk through that.
I'm gonna try and share the screen when you're in the breakout rooms. If not possible, please take a screenshot. That would be great. Also, I think it's good to let you guys know that I'm gonna stop recording now.
Yeah.
When you guys come back and we discuss the results, so that everyone is safe and no one's privacy is invaded.
Questions? There we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Can you put them on screen and then they can click on it?
Yes, we're gonna start with the first question. Give me 1 second. All right.
How comfortable do you feel discussing mental health with your family? And there's no right or wrong answers to these questions, guys. This is just how your emotional wellness feels. That's it.
I'm not able to click a response.
Uh-oh.
Is there an option that makes you go back and come back in with the poll?
Oh, let me try.
It's not showing on mine either.
Yeah, it's not showing on those who are host or co-host. It's only for the
Yeah,
participants.
it won't show for the co-host, I believe.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it shows like it's only 13 people, but can we remove co-host for just the time being and then bring him back? Is that okay?
Yep, doing that right now.
Great, because we can do for the rest of the questions then. Okay, we'll give another quick 10 seconds to this, and then we'll go to the next question. There's 5 polling questions, guys, just to keep it simple.
Okay.
Okay. Next
Everyone
question.
Okay.
So we have about 33% who are somewhat comfortable, 27 who are not comfortable, and about 40% who are very comfortable. That's actually a big number. That's really important to know that you are open to discussing it though. Okay, let's go to the next question. I'm actually taking notes on this.
Do you guys see it? This
I
question?
think you have to end the poll first.
Oh.
There we go. And then, all right. Do you think mental health issues are adequately addressed in our communities? And then Raul, I think we can share the results after. Is that possible? Okay.
I'm going to try. This is the first time I'm using the poll feature.
So it looked, oh, here we go. I think now you can see the polls coming in. Yeah, there we go. I think it was ended, that's why.
Okay.
Hey, everyone, it's the first time. It says, okay, so now you're adding more people.
Yes. I hope everyone can see it. Okay. I don't know.
And I think adequately is probably not the correct word. I should have just said, do you think it's even discussed in our communities? As I'm seeing right now, it's almost 100% that says no. So I think, is everyone seeing the questions? I just want to make sure. All right. So yeah, some are, okay, here's a third one. Rupanpreet Kaur is not seeing any of the questions, just so you know. I want you to.
Sorry.
So what type of support do you find most helpful?
Okay. I'm going to run the second question again right after this so that people can vote again. I think we have 3 more people left. All right. I'm going to move Dr. Z,
Yep.
right?
Yes, keep going. How often do you experience stress or anxiety?
Sorry, I was unable to run the second question back since it was already.
It's okay. We can discuss it when it comes back. It's no problem. It's an open-ended conversation, so I don't want to think that if you don't answer now, you can't answer it later.
Sounds good.
These are ongoing, very healthy conversations. Okay, and here's our last one. Would you participate in future mental health workshops and sessions if we did more? And maybe even training to like help on within our communities.
That's all. Dr. Z, do you want to see the results now?
Yeah, let's just show everyone the results, and then actually, you know what? Hold up. Let's have the conversation and then show the results, because maybe the mind frame will change. That's actually an interesting.
I'm going to pause the recording now so that we can
Okay,
start.
yep. This is going to be paused, so we don't.
Please no swearing. You've been recorded, guys. So in terms of why is Punjab important, I think you guys covered a lot of the points, but it's the birthplace of our Dharam. Guru Nanak Maharaj could have chose anywhere in the entire planet to set foot, but Guru Sahib chose Punjab, and there's many reasons because of that. History, at the moment, a lot of our history is in what I would class the real Punjab, which is the Lenda and Charda Punjab. I was lucky enough to travel out to the Western Punjab, which is currently in Pakistan. There's over 120 Gurdwara there, around 60, 70 of them have had padlocks on them since 1947. I mean, some of the historical places, like the place where Guru Ramdas Ji was born, where Bhai Taru Singh Ji was desculpted, where Bhai Mani Singh Ji was Band, they are all in Pakistan. And believe it or not, Bhai Taru Singh Ji's Astan at the moment is under military protection because it's disputed land, and Sikh can't visit it. Bhai Mani Singh's Shiddi Astan was a shoe shop until very recently. They were selling shoes from the place. And this Hari Singh Nalwa's fort where he grew up is currently in ruins. So like, because we have kind of neglected Western Punjab, or we migrated due to the situation we were put in, a lot of our history is being dissolved and is being lost. Culture and language. Language is very important. Culture is very important also because it gives you the sense of, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. If you don't know what your roots are, and what Baji said, like our population size, in terms of our Qawm, if we say we care about Sikhi and we care about Sikh, then naturally you have to care about Punjab. Why? Because 75% of the entire world Sikh population currently live in Punjab. So you can't say I care about Sikhi and I'm a Sikh and not care about Punjab, because that's where most of the Sikh in the world live. So they go hand in hand. But in essence, Punjab is the roots, and we might be the leaves in the West, living in the West. But if the roots are cut or if the roots are dry, then it doesn't matter how far you travel, or how much you flourish in the West. It's only because of our roots and our history from Punjab. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Raj was so big, including Gilit, Khyber, Fatah, Delhi. It was around 879,000 square kilometers. So I sat there and looked at current modern day areas and calculated a whole kind of geographical area. Punjab in itself is around 50,362 square kilometers, around 1.5% of India's geographical area, 1.53%. If you were to compare Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Raj to a current country, let's just say the current day Pakistan is 770,000 square kilometers. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Punjab was bigger geographically than the current Pakistan. And if you were to compare it with other countries, if you were to get New Zealand, the whole of UK, the whole of Holland, and the whole of Italy, all four could fit within this country, and you'd still have 20,000 square kilometers to spare. So it gives you kind of there's countries like Italy, UK, New Zealand, and Holland, even they don't match the size of what Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Raj was. The Raj fell. How did the Raj fall? I'm not going to go into, but the British came over. It was the last place to fall. There was a lot of foul play, a lot of killing of Sikh generals, and there was a resistance. The resistance was mainly by Sikh, and statistics prove that, whether it was the contribution for that independence all the way up to 1947 was due to the Sikh Punjabis, that whether it was Jallianwala Bagh, whether it was the Kuka movement, whether it was the Akalis, whether it was Kala Pani hangings, every single resistance that was taking place against the British, the Sikh had some involvement in. And the Punjabis, contributed to around 93% of those that were killed in the revolting of the British taking over. And these are some of the Gadri Babe, which is, you guys might be quite familiar with, and the Babur Akali, these two organizations that, kind of were pivotal. And I remember Sikh at the time, they were only a tiny percentage. Sikh were around 1.3%, 1.2% at that time. They were a tiny, tiny percentage, but they gave most of what we know as the sacrifices. So then what happens after 1947? You lose a further 22% of your land. So the British came in and annexed Delhi and Kashmir and Khyber and gave them their autonomy. won over Kashmir by kind of selling people out. And then when the British leave, they divide Punjab further. So this butterfly known Punjab as, you know, the Lenda and Charda Punjab is divided further, and Punjab is just left as the Eastern Punjab. But during this time, there's huge conflict. The reasons for the conflict I won't go into, but there's a lot of understanding on how that conflict came about. It was due to misinformation that was spread in Lahore, saying that the Sikh are killing people in the, you know, masses in Amritsar. And in Amritsar, there was news that was actually presented amongst the Muslim community saying that, the Sikh community, that Sikhs are being killed in Lahore. So it just led to communal violence, and the Sikh and Muslims, you know, started killing each other. At that point, around 2% of the Sikh population was killed in the millions. It is devastating. And around 40% of the Sikh population at the time were misplaced. They were homeless. They were living on the streets, and they lived on the streets for many years, up until when they were relocated and homes were given. In Punjab, in the Pakistan side, Sikhs were the richest in terms of the land ownership, but that wasn't equated for when they actually migrated into Punjab. They weren't given the equal share of land that they had in Pakistan, which led to a lot of problems as well. Okay, so then what happens? The post-independence struggle, there's so much to cover in this, whether it was the 1947 war with Kashmir, whether it was what happened in the 1955. But what happens is, in kind of small context, this entire section from 1947 to current day is about a 3-hour lecture in itself that I normally do, but I'm trying to cover it within 10 minutes because I just want to give you a kind of pretext to what the issues in Punjab are today. But in this, you know, India is reorganized in 1955, 1956 under linguistics and cultural basis. So Gujarat was created because of people speaking Gujarati there. Maharashtra was created because people spoke Marathi. Bihar was made because people spoke Bihari. Vice versa. Every single state was carved out under linguistic basis, and there was only one state that wasn't given its linguistic rights. That was Punjab, and that was in 1956, 10 years after the partition and in so-called independence of India. After Sikh had given, you know, all the sacrifices, you know, kind of gone through all the hardships, they weren't given a state where they could say, we want Punjabi to be our Ma Boli. So to protest against that, there was a movement that started called the Punjabi Subha movement, where, you know, hundreds were killed. Darbar Sahib was attacked on the 4th of July, 1955. And I think I've got a picture of it, maybe somewhere within this deck, of the arrests. 12,000 were arrested just on one day alone. And this 10-year struggle ended when, in 1966, the government, the central government in India, turned around and said, we'll give you Punjab, we'll give you a place where you could say, this is our homeland, this is where we have our language, that is our linguistic rights, but we're going to do it once we've broken away around another 60% of your land. So they broke off Haryana, which is in the green, and Himachal, which is in the yellow, to make the current day Punjab that we have today. And that was only made because the people and the leaders at the time wanted to preserve their language. So it comes to the current day Punjab, and in the trifurcation of Punjab, when they broke Punjab and made it smaller, they also started these two projects, which is known as Bhakra and Harike. There were two dams that were created, and the reason for them dams to be created was to divert Punjab's river water. Punjab's river water was dammed and began to divert, to which point, and I'll come on to this a little bit later on, I want to talk about the importance of water before I do so. Punjab currently is only 6% of what Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Raj was, 6%. So it's tiny compared to what Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Raj was, and it's 50,362 square kilometers. If you were to compare today's Punjab to a country, it's got the same geographical area as Costa Rica, just to give you guys a bit of a fact find there. It's got the same population size as a country like Nepal, but in terms of geographical area, it's the same size as a country of Costa Rica. So why is water important? the foundation of life, according to Gurbani, is water. Pehla pani jeev hai, jit hariye sab koi. So Maharaj says that, for life to exist, you need water. Without water, you can't have life. If you are NASA and you're flying to other planets to find life, what's the first thing they're looking for? What's the first thing they look for in other planets? It's water. And even if you look at history for water, wherever there has been any civilization, whether it's thousands and thousands of years ago, they settled where there was water. The Yellow River in China, the settlements there because of water. And even you can see the two Mayans and the Egyptians, they also settled where they currently are kind of discovered in terms of Egypt and where the Mayan people are, was because of water. And the reason I gave these two examples was because they suffered drought. So the River Nile changed its course of how it was flowing. The Mayan people also suffered drought, and them civilizations perished. Them civilizations, now their history has become mythology. Look how many conspiracy theories there are around why the pyramids and how the pyramids and how did the pyramids come about, because their history wasn't preserved because water ran out where they lived. And UN also, one of the main kind of talking points within the UN is water. Water's a huge talking point within the UN because they say, the future wars in the world are going to be based around water. They're not going to be based around oil or, geographical areas. It's water that's going to be the center point. So we've given a little bit of context of why water is important, and water is a human right. Under the resolution 64/292, the United Nations General Assembly recognized that the water and sanitation are essential to a human right. So kind of going back to the topic now. Some of you guys might recognize this face. She was the Prime Minister of India. This fellow who's sitting next to her here, he was the irrigation minister. His name was Guljari Lal Nanda. And he commissioned two projects. And these are the two projects. One of the projects is split into two, which is Pakra and Ponangal Dam. So these are the two dams that were created on this side, and one dam was created here. And the reason the dams were created, because a treaty was signed between India and Pakistan. India said the water that flows through India belongs to India. Pakistan said the water that flows through Pakistan is Pakistan's. So they gave them the rights to dam the water and divert the kind of water to the states down India, but only if Punjab was getting its share. Now, in terms of legalities, it is illegal to divert water from its natural course under the international riparian law. So what happened was illegal, actually, but they dammed this water and they left the dams outside of Punjab. Now, just talking a little bit about these dams, Punjab's been flooded around 4 times in the last 10 years, 2 of the floods happening in 2019 and 1 happening last year. The reason Punjab has been flooded is because of this dam. It is called Pakra Dam. Pakra Dam holds 328 billion cubic kilometers of water. And I did the calculations of how much water that is. If that dam was to break and that dam was to empty, 68% of Punjab would be flooded with 1 foot of water. That is absolutely phenomenal how much water is in that dam. 68% of Punjab would be flooded just from that one dam alone. That's how much water is held up there. And every time Punjab has been flooded, in the last 4 times it's flooded not because of natural causes, it's flooded because this dam fills up. And because Punjab doesn't have any say over that dam, because it's not inside Punjab, it's actually controlled by the central government. The central government opens the dams, and these rivers, which are now currently dormant or empty, because these rivers don't really have much water flowing through them. A lot of people have built houses and have farmlands within the riverbeds. And what happens is, because the banks of the rivers aren't solidified, once these dams open their floodgates, the civilization in Punjab just gets flooded. And in one documentation, it actually talks about these being strategically placed as, you know, if Punjab was to ever go to war with India in the fight of its autonomy, all India needs to do is blow up these dams, and there would be no fight. 60% of Punjab would be flooded. How are you going to fight a war when your state has been flooded? It happened in 1988 where they needed to flood out a lot of these quote unquote militants that were fighting in this area. So they opened up the dam gates in 1988. And there's a lot of history around that as well. So if you look at the allocation of water, Punjab has 17.17 million acre feet. Now, what does that mean in terms of technical terms? In an acre of land with 1 foot high of water, 17.17 million acre feet is how many acres of land you could fill up with 1 foot. That is how much the natural allocation of water Punjab gets, out of which Punjab is only getting 25%. So 78%, 75% is currently being diverted to Rajasthan, Haryana, Jammu, Kashmir, and Delhi. Now, a lot of people will say, well, what's the issue with that? What's the issue with Punjab's river water being diverted to other states? There isn't an issue if Punjab's water needs were being replenished or they were being met. And I'm going to talk to you about what Punjab's needs were not met and what damage that has caused to Punjab. So if you look at this picture on the left, there was only one. There was no kind of canals that were leaving Punjab before 1947. And this is currently how many canals are leaving Punjab. There's canals throughout the whole of Punjab that are just draining the water away from Punjab. And one of these canals is known as the Satluj Yamuna Link Canal, where this Pakra Dam, this huge dam where Gobind Sagar has got water filled up in it, the river that flows the Satluj near Ludhiana and Jalandhar, there's a canal that was created to divert that water all the way into the Yamuna Canal, which is going to Haryana. And this is the kind of center point of a lot of issues in Punjab, this SYL Canal. And I put Sidhu Moosewala's photo there because he's currently, one of the last songs he sang was around this issue, the SYL Canal song. And please go away and listen to that song and listen to the words of that song. Listen to what he's saying in that song. It will ignite thought on what was going on and how this revolution begin to kind of unfold within Sidhu's mind as well. Sidhu was basically starting to talk about things that the government didn't want him to talk about. And everyone knows the people that are behind his killing, it wasn't rivalry or gang war. It was directly sponsored by those people that didn't want Sidhu talking about certain issues. But I'll come back onto the SYL Canal issue a little bit later on. What happened after that is the water was diverted, the state was made smaller. The Sikh at that, later on turn around and say, we're gonna create something called the Anandpur Mata. They created this resolution where they said, and these are some of the things that were asked for in the resolution. They said, we want Chandigarh back as Punjab because when they trifurcated Punjab, Chandigarh was broken away. We want Ambala back. We want more autonomous rights for Punjab. We want a special status for the Sikh, because under Article 25B in the Indian Constitution, still to today, you are classed as long-haired Hindus. A fair share of the electricity that was made from our water, that was created by the dams from our water, but we were still paying for the electricity, huge amounts. So many rights. That then took shape as the Taramyud Morcha, and this time period from 73 to 82, again, that's an hour's conversation in itself. Just them 10 years is phenomenal, the amount of things that were going on. And every single point the Sikh were being undermined. This is a photo of the arrests in 1955 of the Punjabi Sabha. That is the picture of that. And then the Taramyud Morcha then kind of evolves and increases, intensifies, and then leads onto the Darbar Sahib being attacked. But many people won't know that the Taramyud Morcha begun at Kapuri Da Morcha. And what Kapuri Da Morcha was the place where the SYL Canal construction started. So again, you can see every single one of the Sikhs, the fight that the Sikh were fighting was based around language and water. That was center of all the issues that the Sikh were fighting for. Another point I want to make here, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but on the 23rd of May 1984, so around 2-3 weeks before Darbar Sahib was attacked, the Akali Dal, who were agitating at that time for these demands, they were doing things called Rasta Roko, Kam Roko, Rail Roko. So they were sitting on the railroad, stopping the trains as a protest. They were stopping their work as protest. They were stopping roads as the protest. They announced on the 23rd of May that they're not going to sell any crop that they produce in Punjab to the central government. That was the biggest reason why the army was sent into Punjab. After that point, the army was sent into Punjab. Why? Because if Punjab's farmers realize we can grow our crop, we don't have to sell it to the central government, we'll eat, the rest of the country starves. It will show them the power that the Punjab's farmers have. And the army didn't want that. That's why 100 other Gurdwara were attacked. It wasn't the Gurdwara were attacked. They went into them villages to make sure that the mandiyan, where the rice and wheat were being sold, are open so that the things remain as normal. If the farmers realize, hang on a minute, if we just don't sell our crops to the central government, they're going to realize they're the breadbasket. They feed the nation. They could demand what they wanted if they turned around and stopped supplying. So it's another fact there. But again, I'm skimming over. So you can see the transnational, the history of Punjab from Maharaja Hari Singh's time to kind of the current Punjab that you can see today. And that was I think it was longer than 10 minutes. It might have been more 20 minutes, but that was my brief kind of touch upon history. And I don't think I ever do it any justice when I start talking about, skimming over so many issues. But today I'm going to talk to you about Punjab today. So Punjab today is just a 1.53 geographical area of India. It's a tiny state. It holds around 2% of India's population. And the most important thing for us is that 75% of Punjab, of the Sikh population around the world, currently live in this tiny area. For us, that's why the most important thing is. The reason I'm approximating 65%, we don't have the latest census data. And in the last 10 years, there's been a huge outmigration of Punjabis. Around 74% of the total outmigration happened in the last 6 years alone, from statistics that we can see. So it's going to be a lot less Punjabis living in Punjab anymore, especially the Sikh living in Punjab anymore. But again, that's an approximation. I want you to keep this at the center of your mind while I go through the next slides. So whenever I give you a statistic, whenever I give you a fact, I want you to think this fact is based on that this is just a 2% population. This fact that I'm telling you is just based on a 1.53 geographical area. And this fact that I'm telling you is based that this is a reflection of 75% of where my Qawm, where our people are living at the moment. So Punjab has many issues, and it's a web of issues, and it'll blow your mind away how these issues are interlinked. Mental health, like we were talking about before, it's linked to physical health, it's linked to debt, it's linked to agriculture, which is also linked to debt, is linked to the environment, is linked to many things that you can understand. Unemployment is also, migration is also. So you can see, and what we've done as Saving Punjab, we categorize them so that we can understand them better. We put them in 5 categories: health, education, human resources and environment, pardon me, social issues, and religious. So when we research Punjab, so if some of the volunteer researchers that come on, we said to them, you can pick a topic of any of these 5, or you could pick all of them, or you could say, I'm going to see if there's a correlation between health and education. I'm going to see if there's a correlation between health and the environment. So my major in my studies that I did was I studied cancer and pesticides in Punjab. And that is kind of what the birth of Saving Punjab came from. My study which is an in-depth analysis of the cancer cases in Punjab, in Malwa, in correlation to the pesticides used in Punjab, and kind of looking at the kind of carcinogenic, oxidative stress chemicals that are in the pesticides of Punjab. So that kind of spiraled me to look at the further issues of the fabrics, and Saving Punjab was created from that. So we've already kind of started talking about two of these issues, which is the human resources, so the water division and a few things. So I'm going to continue with that same story. Water, it was diverted, 75% of it leaving Punjab. Now, what happened? Because the river water was diverted, how do you think the farmers irrigated their fields? Most of the irrigation used to take place with canals. And when the farmers needed to now irrigate the fields, they began using tube wells. So the tube wells is just basically a huge pipe that sticks into the ground and it extracts the water. So you can see from the 1990s, if you look at data, even going further back from this, you'll see that the tube wells, they were non-existent in Punjab. There was no tube wells. And the tube wells increased hugely. When I was sitting in the United Nations, actually, I'll come back onto that. What happened was, because tube wells were increased in Punjab, they also put a policy in the 1980s that the Punjab's farmers could use the tube wells with free electricity policy. So what the farmers didn't realize, the damaging effects of what that would do to the groundwater table. Because farmers were using the groundwater to extract the water, and they were using it free, they were extracting it free of cost, they were extracting more than they needed. And the lack of education or policies put in place meant that Punjab's water table dropped further and further and further and further. To now, the statistics are showing that water table has dropped so far that Punjab by 2037 is predicted to become a desert state. And these aren't my findings, these are findings by NASA. So how ironic that the land of 5 rivers, by experts, is being told that that land will become a desert. And we're already starting to see the signs of that happening. There's around several villages in Ropar area, Roopnagar area, that have run out of water. So they turn on the pumps, there's no water. They turn on the tube wells, there's no water. And the reason there is no water, because Punjab is the highest in terms of its groundwater extraction. It's the highest than any other state. When I was in the United Nations in New York in 2023 March, so last year, the opening statements of the United Nations International Water Conference was the greatest extractor of groundwater in the entire world is India. Let me just say that again. The greatest extractor of groundwater in the entire world is India. And guess which state is the highest in India? Punjab. So by default, Punjab is the greatest extractor of groundwater in the entire world. And it's damaging Punjab at an alarming rate. I mean, these are statistics that were presented by NASA, and they're talking about Punjab being in this really, really dangerous red zone. Some of the statistics that show that just between 2002 and 2006, there was 109 cubic kilometers of groundwater extracted. That's enough to fill the Dead Sea between Israel and Jordan. And them figures are really, really worrying. Also, Punjab, not just the fact that the water has been extracted, but that water is now highly contaminated. And I'm going to come on to why that water is contaminated. Punjab is the highest in terms of its arsenic. So this is 2023, but the current 2024 reports show that Punjab is still the highest. I mean, no other state's going to increase their arsenic levels that high in just a matter of a year. In terms of its fluoride levels as well, it's the second highest in terms of its fluoride levels, just behind Rajasthan. And you can see the other issues that are also coming into Punjab because of the overpumping of groundwater is uranium. So Punjab is currently the highest when it comes to uranium within Punjab's water, which is, anyone that looks at what uranium is carcinogenic. It has huge health issues. Punjab is the highest in the entire country for its arsenic, for its fluoride, and for its uranium. Also heavy metals. So anyone that's done any studying on heavy metals, how Punjab's, it's at a growing rate. Now, anyone have any ideas on why Punjab is so high on arsenic, on uranium, on fluoride, on iron? Anyone in the chat have any ideas why has Punjab got, not just so much extraction of water, But why is Punjab so contaminated? Why is the water so contaminated? Anyone have any ideas? The Green Revolution, absolutely. That's hit the nail on the head. So why is a huge question. The why is because the Green Revolution came about and Punjab was used as an experimental state where they gave Punjab these free pesticides and free fertilizer and says, lao apne zameen te lao, use them. You know, like a drug dealer gives a fix to someone and says, oh, try this. And that person becomes addicted to the drugs. The land of Punjab was made to be addicted to these pesticides to feed the nation. And you can see from the 1960s how fertilizers skyrocketed, how pesticides skyrocketed, to the point where just this 1% geographical area consumes 10% of the pesticides. 10% of the pesticides in the whole of India are consumed in that 1% area. And Punjab it's consuming pesticides at such an alarming rate. But how does the pesticide contaminate water? So anyone that's in biology understands biology, bioaccumulation, biomagnification, where if you're spraying pesticides on your crops and then that water is leaching down into the groundwater, you're pumping that groundwater up and you're drinking it. Because there's no new influx of water within the ecosystem, because the rivers ain't flowing because they're dammed, what they're doing is they're recycling that water. They're spraying their pesticides on the crops. They go down into the groundwater. You pick that groundwater up and you drink it. And what you're drinking them harmful chemicals. And what is that doing to the health of Punjab? So Punjab is known as not just the breadbasket, but is also known as the cancer capital of India. And some of the cancer statistics in Punjab are so worrying. Anyone that's on Instagram, scroll back and have a look at this video. It's around a 4-minute video about this Naujawan who died because of the contaminated water. And his interviews 1 week before. This interview that is taken around 10 days before he passes away. And he's saying that people are saying to me that you're taking drugs, that's why your health is deteriorating. And he goes, I've never taken drugs in my life. The only thing I did was I drank water and my health kind of deteriorated. It's not just that. Punjab is still paying to line the canals where the water is leaving Punjab. So not only are we giving the water to other states, we're also paying 780 crore, which is in the millions and millions of pounds, to give that water away more efficiently, so that it's not inefficient of us giving that water away. 40% of the groundwater in Punjab is currently contaminated. That's by the Central Groundwater Report. These aren't just statistics that are made up. Every single one of these is backed by a reference if you look at our Instagram. So moving on, in terms of the nitrate levels, again, they're high, but they're directly related to this study, which is talking about Malwa. The reason why Malwa is the highest in terms of cancer, Malwa is the highest in cancer because Malwa grows a crop called cotton. It's called Kapadi Butti. Malwa is known as the cotton belt, also known as the cancer belt. Cotton is one of these crops that are known as a huge gamble crop. If you plant cotton, you can get a lot of money from it, but there's a lot that can go wrong with it, especially in terms of the pesticides. There was a glowworm or blowworm epidemic in the 90s, which caused a huge spike in farmer suicides because the cotton plant was infected by these insects. Now, the cotton plant takes 6 to 10 times more pesticides than any other crop. And farmers in Punjab, they think, because they don't really have the training, the PPE, the understanding of how to actually apply pesticides properly. And they think throwing more on there will mean that there's going to be a more chance that they won't get a pest. And because they're applying more than they need to apply, there's been a statistic by Pesticide Action Network, and they were talking about around 10% of the containers that are used after the pesticide containers, they used to put their sabji in and take their food to the farms. And they're so highly contaminant that as it says on the actual tub that these need to be destroyed by fire or by taking them to a biological hazards, and people are putting their food in them and taking them because there's a lack of education. So NBC News talking about how Punjab has the highest cases of cancer in the entire country. If you go into Google and just type in the words cancer train, there's a link that shows Bathinda to Bikaner. There's a train that travels every single night full of cancer patients. And it talks about how these cancer patients are being shipped from Punjab every single night to get their Ilaj in Bikaner, because Punjab, its health system at the moment is absolutely in a terrible state. It doesn't have a cancer specialist hospital. If it does, they're all private, and the private hospitals, around 70% of Punjab's hospitals are private, and all they're doing is just extracting money from people, and the quality is poor. This is a really famous, a really important quote that people should read. It says, it's from a study. They talk about the interviewing farmers on the ban of pesticides. So they did this ban on certain pesticides after they, found out that these pesticides are harmful to hazardous health. The pesticides that were told that were harmful to hazardous to human health were banned in America in 1988. They were banned in Europe by the World Health Organization, known as, they were banned in 2002, and only were recognized as we need to restrict them, not banned, but we need to restrict them in 2018 in India. So he's saying you are saving the foreign nationals from harmful effect pesticides by sending them safe basmati. Where are you when it comes to the health of your own country's nationals? So what it was is the government banned the use of certain pesticides on that rice or that crop that was being exported. So basically says, if you're exporting this crop, don't use these pesticides on it. But if you're going to be consuming them, or we're going to be using them in India, it's fine, carry on using it. So it kind of give you an understanding of the neglect or the outright policies which are destructive in Punjab. Agriculture, Punjab is heavily reliant on agriculture. The country relies on Punjab, but agriculture at the moment has become such a gamble because of the high interest rates, where anything could happen. Too much water, not enough rainfall, causing a huge spike in farmer suicides. I'll come back onto the suicides. Soil fertility in Punjab, again, a study that we're doing at the moment, which is showing that Punjab's soil fertility is not going to last very long because of the artificial chemicals that have been pumped into it. There was a book that we came across in Lahore, which has talked about the Qaede of agriculture. Qaede means like the strategy of agriculture. And people hundreds of years ago knew, if I'm growing rice this year in my crop, as my crops, next year I don't grow rice. Why? Because the nutrients in the soil need to be replenished. They never grow the same thing twice, because the nutrients, they get used up, they get exhausted. So they knew that hundreds of years ago, that if you're growing one thing this year, next year you grow something different. And the only two crops that Punjab's growing at the moment is wheat and rice. And why is that? The only reason they grow them two crops, because the central government gives them minimum support price, MSP, on them two crops. And the biggest thing is that them two crops, because they know they've got an insurance of getting the money that they need back from them, but they are the most water intensive crops that you can get. So they again add to the problem that they need more water, and furthering Punjab's problem that it's extracting so much groundwater, and it's already on the verge of becoming a desert. Again, the burden of these high interest rates, where 86% of Punjab's households are in debt, and the debt is alarming. It's really alarming. I'll touch upon that later on. Again, I will touch upon it just in interest of time. The debt in Punjab is huge. Punjab, because of the farmers' protest, was kept off the board where, they have a board where representatives from each state can come talk about agricultural issues. Punjab was removed from the board without any notice. And again, in terms of the health and environmental issues, there's so many issues. The issues in Punjab are countless. So, if you look at some of the health issues here, known as the hepatitis capital of India, Punjab is also known as the highest in terms of its blood pressure and hypertension. In terms of its heart disease, again, Punjab's amongst the highest. some of these need updating, by the way, because there's a lot more that Punjab is suffering. Punjab is the second highest in terms of diabetes-related deaths. Punjab is the highest in obesity, which is not on here. Punjab is the highest in breast cancer at the moment. So a very recent study says that Punjab is the highest in the entire country for breast cancer. That needs to be on here as well. Again, you can see that in terms of mental health, there's huge issues. A lot of it is to do with loneliness. Punjab's empty. A lot of people from Punjab have migrated out at such an alarming rate, which I'll touch upon a little bit later on. But because the elder generation there is lonely, many of them are suffering. There's not the adequate treatment. I mean, look at this. Only 20% of them have access to treatment. And a lot of it is because it's a taboo subject as well. You can't go up to a Punjabi person and say, "Main pareshan hai, I'm depressed," because depression doesn't exist amongst Punjabi community. Even the statistics around farmer suicides, I think there would be tenfold of what we know, even now that they're amongst the highest in the country, but they'd be tenfold. Why? Because people don't want to say it was suicide. People say, "Oh, sutta pe reh gaya," or "Dil da daura ho gaya," he died in his sleep, or he had a heart attack, or whatever. They won't ever state that it was a suicide, because for us, it's a matter of shame, and we don't want to talk about it. And I can't remember which Benji it was, who her name was, but she spoke earlier, and hats off to her. It takes so much bravery sharing your story, because your story, you don't know, might help hundreds of other people to kind of just get the help that's needed. And the problem we have is in Punjab, again, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to break down them barriers and to educate people, even in the diaspora, the Punjabi community, that there is something that is called mental health, and we need to. Mental health is just as important as physical health, if not, I'd say more important. And if it's again another taboo subject, and hence when we're now carrying this campaign on, we want the young educated minds that could turn around and say, "You know what, I'm going to create a pack, and I'm going to create a pack that talks about mental health in Punjab." And it might be something that we create and we make sure that's mass distributed throughout Punjab. And just little things like that we can start helping. But we're going to go on to some of the projects that we're doing at the moment in Punjab. I'm going to skip through some of these now. This is a statistic that I came across, which was mind-boggling. On the left, you see the fertility rates across in major Indian states. So Punjab has a real low fertility. And on the right, you have basically language. So where majority of the languages that are spoken in Punjab, in India. And I mean, it doesn't take an expert to say there's a correlation between the two sets of data. Why? Why is there a correlation between language spoken and fertility rates? I can't say correlation is causation. There's the whole study of crime going up when ice cream is sold because of the hot weather, but that doesn't mean that one is in direct correlation with the other, but it's something that needs further study. Is the fertility rates because of, again, this generational trauma, because the Hindi states are favored, because the non-Hindi states are neglected? It's something that needs further study, but I always like sharing it as there's something that's not right here. This next slide will blow your mind away. So this is a study that was taking place from 2016 to 2021. The top one is Punjab. And not just by a small margin, by a huge margin. The overall average of India in terms of out-migration per 10,000 is 132. So per 10,000 people, 132 people are leaving India. Punjab's average per 10,000 is 1,058, nearly tenfold that of the national average. Now, the question is, why? Why are Punjabis leaving Punjab? If nothing was going on wrong there, why are they leaving at such an alarming rate? And it's something that needs to be looked at on why they are selling everything they own, why they are remortgaging, why they're selling the gold, why they're selling the land. What causes someone to uproot their entire lives and move out? And again, it comes down to that generational trauma. There's a lot of things that have happened against Punjabis and Sikh that's made them want to leave. And we're a part of that same problem. We're a part of that because our parents left and our parents are living now in the diaspora. So we're victims of this displacement. We are victims of this displacement. And there's a study by UNESCO which talks about if you don't look like your grandparents, if you don't eat like your grandparents, and if you don't speak like your grandparents, there's been some kind of genocide. And I think we are very much in parcel of that. Whereas some of us, we might actually look like them, we might speak to them to a certain level and eat like them to a certain level. There is a shift in the next 2-3 generations. That shift is going to be even more, because, you know, to uphold the Punjabi culture and language living in the West, it's not easy. Moving on, there was intentional programs that were brought into Punjab this links into the fertility issues. I mean, that's the statistics are unbelievable. The vasectomies that were given in Punjab in the 70s during the emergency, which caused a lot of people to become, you know, not have children afterwards. The, you know, selling of contraception and IUDs in Punjab is alarming. But if you were to do a study of Punjab's percentages and other states that are troublesome. When I say troublesome, I say that in inverted commas, the ones that have talked about, like Nagaland has talked about, you know, autonomy, like Punjab's talked about autonomy in the 80s and 90s and even some till today. There's a huge correlation between those states that, you know, have some kind of an oppression from the central government and the issues around drugs and alcohol. And I'm going to come on to the drugs side next. So I'm going to kind of touch upon the drugs here, but kind of do a deep dive into it in a couple of seconds. But like here again, please look through our Instagram. Highest in terms of medical expenditure in the entire country, higher than the actual capital. This migration is causing so many issues amongst the people leaving, where even recently there was 400 girls in the Middle East that were trapped there, Punjab, many of them being prostituted out. And as a girl that's left Punjab, the parents have had to sell the gold, the land, just for a better future. How do you ring your parents and say, oh, I can't pay for this, or I haven't got a job, or I'm trapped here? They will do what they have to do to make sure that that money is paid off, or, you know, that they don't tell the parents the hardships that they're going through. But even in the UK, there's been 3 suicides of Punjabi girls that got pregnant. Many of them being groomed by, you know, Pakistani men, so that the cheap labor or to pay off the expenses. And it's becoming, I mean, you guys probably might have the same in America and Canada, but Punjabi students are being exploited now. If you think about it, you living in Punjab, you know, they're living comfortable lives in Punjab. What has caused that psychological breakdown that's made them want to go through all this hardship to live in the West and do, you know, there has to be something that has happened that's caused them to take this shift and move it. And some of the statistics will blow your mind away in terms of the age of student, you know, of kids that are doing drugs. Again, please take your time out to read through all these, and it'll give you a kind of an indication of the issues that are currently in Punjab. Again, around the agriculture, the paddy burning, and everything. I haven't got time to go through everything at the moment, but there's a lot of study and work that's gone into it. So social issues. This is a document by the CIA government. It talks about international drug trafficking around the world. It mentions these 2 places, one known as the Golden Crescent and one known as the Golden Triangle. There's a report which is known as the War on Drugs report, and it talks specifically about the Golden Crescent and how drugs are being trafficked through Pakistan into Punjab, and Punjab being that major corridor for drugs for South Asia. Now, if you look at the statistics, this is a study that was done by the Guru Nanak Dev Ji University and many of the universities put together. It talks about how Punjab is this major corridor for drugs at such an alarming rate. I mean, some of the statistics, if you read the last 3 or 4 posts that we just put up, it'll give you an indication of how bad the situation is. But their study said that 73% of rural Punjab youth is addicted to drugs. Now, just let that sink in. 73% of the youth being addicted to drugs. What kind of future will that you know, will they have? The question here is, Gujarat and Rajasthan's borders is 6 times bigger than Punjab. Punjab has more military. Punjab has more, you know, security guarding them borders because of the militancy in the 80s and 90s. So why aren't the drugs coming into Rajasthan? Why aren't they coming into Gujarat? Why are they coming into Punjab? And the answer is and I'm not giving this as a research-backed finding. I'm giving this as my perspective finding, is that they intentionally are allowed to come into Punjab because it means that Punjab is distracted from the true issues, which is it's forgotten. And if you just look at the statistics on the price of heroin in per lakh in Punjab compared to the rest of India, for one kilogram of heroin, it's 1 crore in Punjab, and it's 5 crore in the rest of India. So you can see it's alarming, and some of the other statistics I'll kind of skip through a little bit, but this is a statistic that showed from 2011 to 2014, there was 13,800 tons of drugs found in the whole of India, out of which 50% were from Punjab. So 50% of the drugs found are found from this tiny geographical area. Not just that, if you look at for the whole of India, out of all those people convicted for drugs, 44% of them people are from Punjab. So imagine that Punjab is only a 2% population, but 44% of the people in jail for the NDPD Acts, the Narcotics Act, in the whole of India are from this 2% population, which is from Punjab. And it's absolutely scary. And you can see some of the Kerala, the Tamil Nadus, the other states, especially this one here, Mizoram, Manipur, Assam, all these are states in which there has been resistance against India. These states here, Manipur, Mizoram, they're known as the Seven Sister States, the Nagaland states, and they are all facing similar issues. Here you can see that again, Orissa, Kerala, Jharkhand, Assam, the places where the drugs are a huge issue again around that. And Kashmir is up there now as well. Kashmir is amongst the highest in terms of drugs. So you can see the statistics will blow your mind away in terms of drugs in Punjab. And if you go to Punjab, you will see cannabis growing freely everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's cannabis growing. And obviously people say that there's no issues with cannabis and it's a recreational. And I do agree that there's some places where cannabis can be used, but for the average person that doesn't understand the limitations of what they can be and is not medical, it is a psychedelic and it can cause many, many issues in terms of your psychiatry. So Punjab is the highest amongst alcohol related, children drinking alcohol. So the highest in 50% of Punjab's men currently are consuming alcohol. That's actually now 63%. So that's a couple of years ago. The statistics gone higher. And you can see as you become more resistant to the drug, it's evolved. Those people that were addicted to opium in the 2000s went on to heroin by 2015, 90% of them. That's a Punjab opioids dependency survey report, which I can share with anyone that wants to see that. Again, 40% of inmates in jails are addicted to drugs. We've got an article this on our website. The highest in the country when it comes to the narcotics, so the NCB, the National Crime Record Bureau reports. Third highest for overdoses. Is now an outdated statistic. I'll tell you why. I just added this slide before I did this presentation. These are from this last week. I've put these posts up. Punjab is actually the highest when it comes to overdoses at the moment. So it was the third highest a couple of years ago. It's now the highest. It's got the highest number of women drug smugglers in the entire country. It's the second highest for children drug smugglers after Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu is only up there because it's another troublesome state. De-addiction drugs are becoming the latest addiction. The reason why that is because they legally can be sold in these private hospitals. And the private hospitals have just become a place to drug deal. So drug dealers drug addicts are just going to private hospitals and buying the drugs which they couldn't normally buy on the streets. Now they're just buying them from the de-addiction centers, which has become a huge let's say, a flaw in the system. Migration, again, has been fueled by the void that people leaving Punjab has been filled in by non-Punjabis. So 70% of the workforce in Punjab at the moment, so the workers are from Bihar and UP. If you go through Punjab and you'll see people speak Bahari, Hindi, You won't see many people speaking Punjabi. From a Sikh perspective, the void has been filled by Christian missionaries, which is a huge issue in Punjab at the moment with these mass conversions. The highest colleges and schools in Punjab are the Christian missionary schools, and they bring with them the ethos, which is again damaging Punjab. Industry. So again, this is a topic, and I find it really frustrating doing these talks sometimes, especially in the time limit that we're doing, because there's so much to cover, and I never feel that the time does it justice. Not anyone's fault, but it's just I think I could talk about this all day. There were special economic zones created in India where industry was driven out of Punjab, and you can see 20,000 industrial units were shut down, which caused Punjab, economically to be so damaged. Does anyone know in the 1980s, in 1981, where Punjab was in terms of its GDP in the whole of India?
I think it was number 1 or number 2.
It was number 1. Yes, it was number 1. What position is it in today?
Like last
16th. So we're near enough lost. Does anyone know the rough debt we had in 1984? Around that, the reason I know these statistics at the top of my head, I was doing an analysis of 40 years, what has actually helped and changed in Punjab for the better. In 1984, we had a debt of 109 million pounds equivalent, 109 million pounds equivalent, which was not huge. The current debt is 32 billion. Punjab has alone 32 billion. That is a 31,000% increase in 40 years. We're the most in debt state in India at the moment. Our debt is bigger than some countries, actually bigger than a lot of countries. $32 billion of debt is absolutely huge. And again, why? Because everyone that's leaving Punjab is taking the money with them. That money is not being fed back into Punjab. Really, the people that leave Punjab stay out. They don't go back, and you can see the alarming rate. I mean, the figures aren't really clear at which people are leaving Punjab. It's unbelievable. And again, the women that are being trafficked in Cyprus. There was an article about women trafficked in Cyprus. It's on our website. That have been trafficked in Mexico. That have been trafficked in Oman. Again, 70 women here, 400 somewhere else. Unbelievable. And in terms of the 2% population, is 14% of the marriage grievances in the whole of India because of the NRI statistics. Again, I'll skip through this. Punjab, where Gurbani says, "So kyo manda akhiya jit jamme rajan," from where females, where Maharaj gave them the equal status in if anything, they gave them a higher status in Gurbani. Why? There's only one Gursikh ever mentioned in Gurbani, and that's Mata Kivi so soy jin goyo thali. And Guru Sahib gave her that padvi as a female in Sikhi, as we are all kind of the same gender. Gender is irrelevant in Sikhi. And Punjab being amongst the highest for abortions due to female feticide because of this Sikh twisted culture where females are looked upon as a burden to the Sikh and Punjabi diaspora. And to say, a lot of the issue lies within this generational trauma in females themselves. You will see the elderly women saying, "Acha kudi hoya, koi na agli wari munda ho juga." I've got 2 daughters, and I had to hear it myself. I was like, "What do you mean? I don't want a son." And if you say something like that, it's like you've sworn at them. Like, basically, what's the problem if you just want daughters? What's the problem that I've just got daughters? Like, it becomes this trauma that's been passed down that females are less. And it's something that we're going to have to deal with as a community and tackle. I think things are getting better, but we need to make sure that the next generation need to know that there's an equal status. Again, debt is driven due to this high privatization of hospitals, of schools. We've got the highest schools that are private. We've got the highest hospitals that are private. And the reason why the farmers were protesting against our mandiyan, where we sell our produce, becoming privatized and non-governmental, is because they'd realized how bad it was in terms of the schools and the hospitals, that the prices just get picked up so high because they're privatized. Education, Punjab was known as the most educated state during Maharaja Ranjit's times. Just go away and look into G.W. Letner. His books talked about how Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Raj was the most educated Raj that existed. And today we've got countries like Australia saying we'll give visas to people coming from India, but not from Punjab because their study is inadequate. They come in with their studies, but they actually haven't studied. They're just, I don't know if they're faking their education. And this is the kind of reputation we're making for ourselves out there. And, you know, furthering on in terms of human rights, education is a human right, and Punjab's education is failing. Language is another thing that I want to talk about. Language has been really an agenda that has been pushed back in Punjab. You know, Punjabi language is looked upon even amongst Punjabis at the moment as a backward language. This is the inauguration of the Kartarpur corridor, where, you know, one of the kind of key places for the Sikh. Hindi at the top, English at the bottom. There was no Punjabi put on there, and it was the subtle reminder to you that your language doesn't play any you know, it doesn't mean anything to the nation. And even, you know, the Amit Shah, which is also known as the Union Home Minister, he openly says one nation, one language. You know, people like Gurdas Mann are in support of this one nation, one language, where, you know, if Punjabi is not taught as a primary language, which it isn't in many schools, is Hindi is taught first as the national language, then it's English. Punjabi is taught as a tertiary language. And I imagine if you guys learnt Spanish or French in school, how many of you guys can converse in them languages now? You can't, because you're not, and a lot of people in Punjab now are speaking Hindi. And it's becoming alarming that why is language important? There's a study that shows your language, it determines your values. Your values determine your behavior, and your behavior determines your outcome. So your language has a direct link to your outcomes. Now, a show of hands here. Actually, Simon Pendy wants to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to like add to what you were saying, in that like the intentional removal of teaching Punjabi as a language is like also in part so that we can't read the Guru Granth Sahib ourselves. Like it is like part of the effort to like remove Sikhism from the subcontinent, because if you can't read Punjabi, you can't read Gurbani.
And you know, whoever is a Sikh is automatically going to become a revolutionist, whether that's equal opportunities for all human beings. And that is the key thing that they want to stamp out. And I'm going to come on to that point. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the points that I do come on to. But I'm going to do a quick test right now. I always love doing this. Most of you guys in here could probably say that, other than maybe Mr. Gabisa, I think I'm saying that right, can probably speak Punjabi. Mr. Gabisa might be able to, I don't know. But most people can speak or converse in Punjabi. I just want to ask people, just drop in the chat, what does risk mean in Punjabi? Don't be shy. Not risk doesn't mean food. It does actually equate to food. It depends what you're eating. So the word risk, what is risk in Punjabi? Khatra is danger. Anyone can Google translate it right now. The word is jokum. How many people have heard that word in their lifetime? I never heard it. And that is a Punjabi word that we've forgotten. Everyone in Punjab now says what? They say riskiya galdevich. Ah, galdevich bahut riskiya. What about something you drink from, like a cup? Cup is an English word. How many people know the Punjabi word for cup? They say cup fara, glass fara. How many people actually use the actual Punjabi word? Piala comes in Gurbani, param piala. We never use, whoever says to piala fara, piala. There's so many words that we have forgotten. And like, if I was to say to you guys, what's the, you know, the basics of language are like, you learn your ABC, ura era, you learn your numbers. I mean, I find it difficult to count to 100 in Punjabi. I don't think many people can do that. It's so, you know, it's because we've forgotten. How many people can name all their shapes in Punjabi? What's a triangle in Punjabi? It just shows right now, in terms of realization, if language is really important and preserving language is really important, how many things that have we culturally kind of assimilated with the West, we don't even know the simple things like a triangle. It's a trikona. A pentagon is panchpaj. We say, I'll tell you a funny story. I was going to Vancouver for a Saving Punjab tour where I went to do like a few seminars up there. And I went to the Heathrow Airport in London and I was walking to my gate and I saw the whole gate was full of these Rang Barangiya Pagga and loads of Punjabi sitting there. And I was like, checking my ticket. I was like, am I going to the right place? Am I going to Vancouver? And what it was the Vancouver was it was a connecting flight from Amritsar to Vancouver, and I was only getting on at London, but it means that that entire plane was coming from Punjab. So I went and sat down, and I sat down on the airplane and full of Punjabis, and part of me felt really disheartened because just another batch that's leaving Punjab, for Punjab to be further destroyed. And we've been doing a lot of research, and I sat there quietly. I put my headphones in. I didn't want to talk to anyone because I was feeling a bit upset. And the Punjabi sitting next to me and the guy sitting next to him, they were talking, and they turned around and they patted me on the shoulder, took a headphone out, and they're like, "Paji, kidda kitthon aa?" And I was like, "मैं UK ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਆਂ." And he was like, "Where were you born?" I was like, "From the UK." And he's like, "Have you been to Vancouver before?" I was like, "Yes, I've been there before." And what is the first question do you think he could have asked me about Vancouver? The first question he asked me was, "Paji, utho chitta mil janda chitta." Chitta is a drug. Paji. So you can see in their mind, they're leaving Punjab, and the first thing they're thinking about, will I get my fix of drugs when I get to Canada? And obviously he touched a nerve, and it was a 10-hour flight. And I tell you what, he regretted ever asking me that question because I spent the next 9 hours talking to him about Punjab's issues. But in my conversation with him, I said, "Kede school padhe hain? Like, where did you study?" And he goes, "Flana school. I studied at this school." And I said, "I'm going to stop you there. What's school in Punjabi?" And he's like, he looked at me in disgust, like, "What kind of question is that?" He goes, "School." He goes, "School ta school hunda." And I went, "School's an English word." And he goes, "Huh?" And this is someone that's born and raised in Punjab his whole life. He doesn't know another word for school. He goes, "If you go to my parent, it says school in Punjabi, it's school." I went, "School is an English word. What is school?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I said to him, "A school actually is Vidyallah in Punjabi, is known as Vidyallah." And he'd never heard that in his entire life. And I said to him, "Okay," we started talking about schools, and he says, "Teacher, mera teacher, mera teacher." And I was like, "Teacher is an English word. What's teacher in Punjabi?" And he didn't know. He goes, "Master." I went, "Master's an English word as well." So he, like, all these words, pen, we should say kalam. Copy is an English word. Copy should be kagaz. We say every day in Japji, say kagaz kalam na likhan har. We use the words in Gurbani, but we're forgetting them in real life because we're distant from our language. Now, if I was to say to you, kitab, another one, if I was to say to you what the word for sorry is in Punjabi, what is it? Yeah, I saw Bipin mouthing Mafi, but Bipin Mafi is a Hindi word.
I assumed that it was probably not right. And that's why I didn't unmute myself.
But the funny thing is that there isn't a word for sorry because Punjabis never make mistakes. But as in again, like there's a lot of words that have been mixed in within us. I think it's sorry, I went off on a tangent here, but it was just something that I wanted to drill into you guys, as in if we haven't basically preserved our language, make sure we do with our kids, send them to Punjabi school, make sure we try to speak as much Punjabi as we can with them, because if we forget that with them, it's going to be difficult to continue that in the future generations. Anyways, I'll move on before I get diverted again. Religion is the last topic I'm going to talk about, and then I've only got a few slides left. Punjab had to struggle just to get Punjabi in its textbooks up until very recently. And Punjab's history has been hugely diverse. I imagine someone said to me earlier, Punjab is important to us. Why? Because it's the birthplace of Sikhi, it's the birthplace of Sikh, it's the birthplace of where our gurus were born. Now imagine this. This is what's written in your AS level classes, so the higher study classes. These are the things that are written. that Banda Singh Bahadur was a rapist. The Gurus worshipped cows. The Gurus didn't reject the caste system. Guru Nanak Dev Ji accepted all Hindu rituals. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji was imprisoned for killing and looting people. Guru Arjan Dev Ji committed suicide. Guru Har Gobind Sahib suffered from mental illness. He was a coward because he slept with 50 guards at his pillow. The Guru Gobind Singh Ji committed suicide after the Char Sahibzad they were killed. This, you could take a screenshot of this, go check these books out. These are the comments in these books, and they're still used as Punjab Education Board to teach Sikh history in Punjab today. How crazy is that? That your history that is being taught to you. There's a video on our page. If you scroll down, maybe about 3-4 months ago, this whole topic is described in that video, and the person protesting against these books is talking and showing you from the books the exact quotations that they say, in the book that have been taught in Punjab today. On top of that, these are pictures taken from some of the magazines and books of Punjab. Like, how the hell do you get a picture of Guru Nanak Dev Ji in the middle of Mahatma Gandhi and Indira Gandhi? How do you get the picture of all the gurus with the Om sign in the middle? And this is RSS propaganda that's been pushed through Punjab, and it's been pushed through Punjab from the last 20-30 years. And it's a way of assimilation. It's a way of them telling you that you're long-haired Hindus in their constitution, but making you accept the caste systems, accept what their mindset is, so that eventually you just say, yeah, we're a section of Hinduism. And there's so many things that have been brought into this. You'll see Singhs walking around with a tilk on their forehead. You'll see Singhs walking around doing havans, Singhs throwing color on each other, Singhs tying rukri on each other, Singhs worshipping Hindu devtas, devtiyan. Like, basically, there's been a huge I'd say infiltration of Sikh history and Sikh principles, because it feeds the Indian narrative that we're just a section of Hinduism, something that is a huge cause for concern, not just in India, but in the diaspora as well. Punjab is riddled, absolutely riddled with fake, these fake babbe, because people are lost. Mental health is high, health issues are high, debt is high. They need some kind of spiritual awakening, and the only way that spiritual awakening happens is because these guys come along and they mislead, misguide. This guy's currently in a freezer I don't know if you can see my mouse moving, the guy on the top right in the bag, he's in a freezer because he told everyone he's Guru Gobind Singh Ji reborn. He died, but he's none of his people. He had told loads of prophecies that didn't come true about him, so they didn't believe that he's dead. So now they've put him in a freezer and they worship the freezer that he's in. This guy here has got over 200 rape cases on him. His name is Gurmeet Ram Rahim. He's currently in jail, but he pretended to be Guru Gobind Singh Ji, gave Amrit to many thousands of people, and he's another fake guru from Haryana, but also is in Punjab. Christian missionaries. You ever depressed? I know you shouldn't take the mic. Type in Christian missionaries in Punjab, and you'll see the craziest things that they're doing. They're waking people up from the dead. These so-called miracles to misguide people.
I just had a quick question, Virji.
Anji.
So how come is it like, or you see all these babbes that are like, they always pop up in Punjab, but yet you don't see like any like datas or any babbes in the vast Punjabi diaspora outside of Punjab?
It's a very good point. I think that the thing is, people over there are lost. They really are lost, and they're very easily manipulated. And I think the problem is people in the West are a bit more astute. They're a bit more aware of mental health or issues or understanding, because they don't have anywhere else to go or any other form of guidance. Sikhi has been broken away from them. The Gurdwara have become institutions where you can't actually access Sikhi. It actually puts you off Sikhi. There's no other way of educating the average Punjabi on Sikhi. What happens is, they're filled in by these fake miracles. And if you ever go into a study and read on it, I've got a book here called Tabe Ros Jagyo by Sukhpreet Singh Odoke. The way they do things is so clever. Like, what they'll do is they'll have people that they pay that go out into the Sangat, into the people, and say, look, I went to this person and he solved all my problems. And when they go into, they say, go see him. And when they go into these places, they'll have people listening out, and they'll say, oh, I'm here because my kid's dying. and that person will share their problem. I'm here because my left leg hurts. And that information is then fed back to the Baba. And when you go see the Baba, he's going to say, your left leg hurts, doesn't it? And you're going to think, oh my God, this guy knows my problems. He must be connected. He must be spiritual. And it's so easy, but people get misguided and they're like, oh no, yeah, these guys have got spiritual powers, but it's just tricks. And then
is it also like a lot of these Babas and like these datas that are in Punjab are actually like government funded and actually pushed forward by the government, but since that government does not have influence in the like outside in the West, that's also another reason why we don't see a lot of these datas or Babas outside.
I didn't want to say that because then it just comes under speculation. But if you go away and read up on the Nirankari movement and Indira Gandhi's involvement in that up until 1978 and after that, the Nirankari movement, you will see how they created the problem in Punjab. They created a division. They created a sector of so-called Sikhi that divided from the inside and caused issues. Same with Radha Swami, same with the Namdhari, same with there's loads. And this is what they do. They are all state-sponsored to divide and conquer. But coming on to what Simran Benji was talking about in terms of Sikhi being, eradicated. This what the Biadmiya happening. There's been over 380 Biadmiya in the last 4 years, and the reason for doing it is it's basically those people that can fight through all the issues that I talked now, that I just spoke about, the drugs issue, the environmental issues, the water depletion, the pesticides, the debt, the education, all them issues, if they still find, homage in Sikhi and still have some kind of spirit left within them, this is a way of telling them that you can love Sikhi, but you're still oppressed. If you can't stand up for the rights of your guru, and guru for us is everything, this is our living guru, then how can you even, it's that whole kind of trauma that comes into it. And this again feeds into the narrative of the Christian missionaries, like you guys believe in a book and the book can't protect itself. And this is why your religion is wrong. So they use these as examples, and they use these to aggravate the Sikh. They use these to divert these issues, to divert the Sikh from the true issues. Now, the crux of all this, and I'll tell you what the true issues are. They've been at issues from day one since 1947, and there are issues today, but not many people focus and talk on them. And they are the diversion of Punjab's river water and Punjabi language and Punjab's autonomous rights. They are the crux of what happened in 84 or what happened pre-84, and whatever's been happening after 84 has been there to divert people's attention from them asking for their riparian water rights back, from asking for their linguistic rights back, for asking for their Sikh rights back to be recognized as Sikh. So that is kind of the a breakthrough, a breakdown of all the information, and a lot of it needs updating because it's probably around 6-7 months old now, and I need to kind of go through it again and put in the new data. But I just want to quickly use this opportunity to touch upon a project that we're about to launch, and then I'm going to open up for question and answer. It's called the MyPaint Project. Now, the MyPaint Project, you can go on www.mypaintproject.com and kind of read upon what it is, but I'm going to give you like a little bit of a breakdown. So I've told you loads of issues, and you're probably thinking that was a lot to take on. That was quite heavy, that was. Especially after the mental health talk that Benji before was doing, you're probably thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do with our lives today? But I want to give you some light at the end of the tunnel. We as academics and researchers have come up with a plan to think, okay, how do we now start tackling some of the issues we talked about? We have basically devised a plan where we want to use our connections in the diaspora, our energy, our finances in the diaspora to create something where we can make data-driven decisions. Now, the MyPaint project, in essence, in its phase one, is a data collection for your villages. It's used in the sustainability and development goals of the United Nations to, in the phase one, go into your village and do a deep dive analysis of your village. So we've done around 5 villages at the moment, where we go into the village and we ask questions over 4 days, and them questions are intense. I mean, they've been, it took us 6 months just writing up the questions, and they do soil fertility testing, water contamination testing, air testing, they check the schools, the school systems out, like a full in-depth audit of the school in terms of curriculum, attendance, attainment. They check out everything within that village. I mean, if you think about a question that could be asked about that village, whether it's the Gurdwara CCTV to the health of the villagers, so they do like a health camp within the village. For the villagers, it's a free health checkup. For us, it's a data grab. So we go in and we do like biomass index readings. We do, hemoglobin readings. We check, biomass index, blood pressure, hypertension, all them things. And what that does is it correlates the data for us straight away to see, is the health of the village linked to the food? Is it linked to the environment? Is it linked to the education? Like basically, what we do is really smart the way that we've put everything together. It'll analyze everything for us using AI to kind of give us what does that village need to move forward now. So, for example, say if one of you guys come and put a referral in for your village, you would put your referral into my print project. I want to refer my village to be deep dive analyzed, and we then send a team there. That team does that deep analysis of your village and generates a report, and that report then gives some solutions to what needs to be done in your village. And some of the solutions, and the reason I've got all these organizations here in the bottom left is we've already reached out to all these organizations, UNITEDSIKHS being, one of them in the top 3. And they've all kind of given us the thumbs up that they would be, in terms of, even taking some of the projects that need to be done. Like, so for example, if Saving Punjab realizes your village needs a groundwater, it needs a rainwater conservation system. What that means is to preserve the rainwater and use it for agricultural needs or any other needs, to have a tank in your village that we can kind of make sure that we're preserving water. What UNITEDSIKHS or an organization could turn around and say is, we will make sure that the village that needs that doing, we will sponsor that if the villagers or the people in the diaspora can't do that. So it's kind of using the efficiency of all the organizations in the diaspora and diverting their attention towards where most of the Sikh live. And some of the solutions you can see here in terms of agriculture, there's so many things that we could bring in, especially smart irrigation. If we're using water from the ground, how could we make it more efficient? Smart irrigation by water guns is 70% more water efficient than using the current systems. Vertical farming in terms of hydroponics, anyone that's into sensors of smart farming that tell you exactly what nutrients your soil needs without actually over exploiting the nutrients that we're going to give it. So you can understand, even in terms of village systems, like I said, rainwater recharge systems. So when it rains, we hold that water, we grab it, we recharge the ground via injection systems, submersible pumps that kind of push the water back down and recharge our groundwater. So there's so many systems in which we're thinking that this, and the starting point for us is the data-driven decision. Why? Why is data important for it? Because data gives you measurability, it gives you accountability, it gives you scalability, it gives you a starting point, it gives you a baseline assessment, and we can reassess in 5 years, in 10 years to see what our trajectories are. And what it does is it gives us evidence of this is what's happening in Punjab. A lot of the evidence that I've given you today and statements and data I've given you today is all secondary data. It gives us a primary data. Now, I'll try to show you an example of a report if I have one here.
I think we have a hard stop in about 5 minutes. So
Okay.
we could go on forever. This is like so amazing. And on that note, I just wanted to add that we would like
Okay.
to partner with you on certain initiatives. If you can adopt a village, we are running a project Kirti in Punjab where we are providing, making people independent. We are providing the men with e-rickshaws and women with sewing machines.
Amazing. We can talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about that offline, but it's great that we have all this information. The next step is, what are we going to do with it? So I
Yeah,
think we
absolutely.
talk
I'm literally, I've got a couple of minutes left, and then I will.
speaker after, but we do have a hard stop. So thank you so much. So please, I'll give you 5 minutes to wrap it up.
Thank you very much. So again, this is an example of a report, the kind of things that we're looking at, the parameters, the health, the education, the transport, the agriculture. So it gives you like a real in-depth analysis of what's going on in that village. So I don't know if you could see that then, but I did show it on the screen. Ways that you could help as the next generation. We do things like a dissertation project. I think you guys call it a thesis. So what we're saying to students is, if you're doing a thesis, do it around Punjab, do it around Sikh. We will support you with our researchers. We've got quite a few researchers. We've got a bank of theses that people have done. We've got a girl called Sanjam, who's one of our volunteers, who won the Thesis of the Year award. In Canada, who did it around Punjab. So all we're saying is, if you're doing your thesis, do it around Punjab. For us, it's free information, free data, free research that could help us. You might come up with a genius idea and we think, hang on a minute, let's try that, let's do that. And for us, we can support you, guide you, give you information, give you data that we've already collected as well. So that's like a buddying system that we started off, and we'd like for anyone studying in a university degree to do that. But how could you guys help? If any of you guys want to volunteer with this growing movement, which I would call it, Saving Punjab, it's kind of on its way upwards to being one of the kind of pivotal movements to kind of now help Punjab. We need help in these 4 categories: media, social media, design, creating awareness, even merchandise that we're now going to be starting to create and kind of move forward with, and research. So anyone that would like or is interested in conducting any research for Saving Punjab, just please reach out, whether it's writing an article or even helping create a post, whatever it is that you can help us with, we're more than happily to take that help on. Other ways that you can help, just in terms of creating awareness, even as little as putting hashtag Saving Punjab in your bio kind of goes a long way. And that is it. I'll leave that QR code for anyone that wants to scan it. I don't know where it goes at the moment because things have changed since then. But you can more than happily email us on info@savingpunjab.com.
For the presentation to us, we'll share it with all the participants.
Okay, that's totally fine as well. But yeah, that is it for me. I mean, I'm sorry I crammed a lot in there. Thank you for
There's a lot of great information, and we're very grateful. A lot of knew that things needed attention, but it's database research, and that's what makes it so convincing. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank our participants. We don't want to scare them away because this is the first day, and they've been sitting nonstop for about 4 hours. So
I'm sorry for. I mean, I was only told about this a couple of.
Still here. This means there's not, everybody's enjoying it. So, no, thank you so much. We don't have words to express it, and you're doing an amazing job. Let's take our partnership to the next level, and let's work on specific projects, together.
Thank you very much. I mean, if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to take them if we have the time. That is.
Yes, we have time. Okay. Yeah, I see a couple of hands. Bipinpreet.
Hi, Gurpreet Singh. Thank you so much, Virji. I am actually working. I'm choosing a topic right now for my thesis, and that's what I wanted to ask you. I don't want to hold up too much time. I was wondering if I could reach out to you, like personally, and possibly discuss a topic that you could help me choose for my honors thesis. Because, like you said, I want to focus it on Punjab and research that like our community and our Panth can use. So where could I find you on or reach out to you at?
What I'll do is I'm going to share my number in the chat, so anyone that needs to reach out after this can reach out.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
93.
Okay. I give the word to Dr. Gabisa. Indrajit, one quick question.
Thank you very much, Gurpreet. This is just a wealth of information. I personally learned a lot from this. I will continue to learn more about this. Specifically, I just wanted to ask you about the upcoming UPR review of India. What preparation are you guys making to attend that in Geneva? And did you guys manage to put together a shadow report, or what's happening on that side, and what kind of American law firm or a UNITEDSIKHS legal department can help you in the process of that?
So I will share our report that we've submitted. It's under the name World Sikh Parliament. So I'm the UK coordinator for the World Sikh Parliament. Bhai Hardyal Singh, who might be on the call, is one of the general secretaries of the World Sikh Parliament, which is an international body of Sikhs in the world. So I kind of help lead the UK side of that. That is what we've submitted our report on, the genocide. I mean, that's something I didn't even touch upon in the presentation, but it's the overt and covert, so the silent genocide that's been taking place in Punjab. and the kind of overt genocide that's been taking place in Punjab. And it's kind of given a strong presence on the human rights violations that have taken place in Punjab, especially around the Sikh people. So that will be the brought up in the periodic review on Monday, and hopefully it will be very interesting to be sitting there while them comments are read out towards India. Hopefully that answers it. I will share the link to that as well. Anji, I think Ranjit Singh has got his hand up.
Yes, Haji Virjit. Wow, that was like an amazing presentation. You're doing a great seva to the Panth, Virji. My question to you was like, after like all the issues that you have brought up and these issues that have been taking place, like these repetitive issues, like the core issues still remain the same from 1947 till now we're in 2024. What do you, like, in your opinion, what do you think is like the long-term solution to like Punjab's issues and to like the Panth's issues in general?
Such a hard question to answer in a little bit of time. I think really it's having people like yourself and other people around here that would eventually be in the future positions to take someone like India to the ICJ and say it's, it's neglected Punjab with the illegal riparian diversion of Punjab's water and bringing that water back to Punjab. So having campaigns around making sure that we're using more canal irrigation again, stopping the tube well, so making sure that the riparian rights of Punjab are restored. I think a lot of Punjab's issues are answered when the people that care about Punjab are put in positions where they are the stakeholders of Punjab. So I think Punjab at the moment is the remote control of Punjab is in the central government, and the reason for that is because of a thing called UT, Union Territories. Punjab is a union territory and falls directly under the Indian constitution. So Punjab can't make any decisions for itself. So if Punjab has more autonomous powers, it can do the things that are best for Punjab, especially in terms of, if we, and this is the kind of the project that we're running now, which is the MyPind project. If everyone can start focusing on just their village, imagine how many people are on this call here. There's 30 people, that's 30 different villages. And if everyone just focused on their villages and making sure that their village has the best education, the best health, make sure that their pind has got the best Sikhi prachar, make sure that the environment of their pind is the best. If everyone does that for their villages, Punjab is it's going to change overnight. But the thing is, what we're trying to do is give you the action plan and give you the roadmap to do that with data and give you like a clear direction of where you need to go using research and data, so that you don't just stand up and say, I'm going to plant 100 trees in my pind, and in 5 years' time, them trees are dead because the water wasn't there to keep them upheld. Or I'm not just going to go and say, I'm going to do a health camp, or I'm going to give my school an extra whiteboard when what they actually need is clean water or toilet facility. So that's why the research is very making sure that the intervention is specific to what is needed and prioritized. That's our thing, is grassroots is important. And if we start focusing on our villages, they feed into the larger systems that need to be helped in Punjab.
And I'm sorry, did you say Punjab is a union territory?
Yep, it's a union territory because Chandigarh is a union territory. Sorry, Chandigarh is
Chandigarh is not Punjab.
Yeah, not Punjab. Chandigarh is a union territory, but because the capital of Punjab is Chandigarh,
okay,
and Punjab it falls under the laws of the central government. With the same happened to Kashmir and Ladakh.
Yeah,
because the capital control what happens in Punjab, and the capital is a union territory. So indirectly, Punjab falls under the union territory.
Yeah, indirectly, yeah. Okay. Okay. No,
sorry, thanks for clearing that.
No, okay. I thought maybe I had my facts wrong.
No.
Okay. We need two. We have two last questions. So Simran and then Tejveer. Go ahead, Simran.
I just had a really quick question in terms of like diasporic engagement, because I feel like, particularly like amongst my generation, there is like an absurd kind of apathy that you see in like the way people talk about Punjab. Like a lot of Punjabi Sikhs that I've encountered throughout my life, obviously not the people here, thank God, like they care more about being Indian than being Punjabi, and they can't speak Punjabi, and they have like no interest, and they like ridicule Punjab, they're like, Punjab is dirty, the beds are hard, the water is cold. I'm like, yes, the beds are hard, the water is cold. But, like, that's our people. And like, do you have any like guidance on how to get people to understand that, and to get people to like want to invest in Punjab?
I think it's again one of the early slides talking about why Punjab is important. I think there needs to be a bit of education around that. And Punjabi Virsa is very different to Indian Virsa. The Punjabi Sabhyachar is very different to Indian Sabhyachar. If they like Bhangra, they have to care about Punjab. If they like saag and makki di roti, they have to care about Punjab. If they care about Punjabi Gane, where they're talking about the mashooks and the majals and all these things, they have to care about Punjab. You can't say, I love Punjabi music, I love Punjabi food, and I love this, and say, oh no, I don't care about Punjab, because without Punjab, they wouldn't exist. You see a lot of these people that have like Jattiyan, Punjabiyan. What is Jat? Jat's a farmer. Where they're from? They're from Punjab. Farming is the main agriculture there. You can't be proud of who you are if you don't link that to the roots and your culture, which is Punjab. So I think it's, again, it comes down to that generational trauma, why they are neglecting and not wanting to actually even address themselves as Punjabi, because I think we have moved to the diaspora and we're trying to fit into the diaspora. But let's face it, we're never going to fit into the diaspora. Even if we're here for 2, 3, 4, 500 years, biologically, we're not going to fit into the diaspora. Psychologically, we're not going to fit into the diaspora. Our home will always still be Punjab. So we can't neglect that Punjab. We don't want to, in 50, 100, 200 years' time, Punjab not existing. Let me just say one little point here. Punjab, India was reorganized in 1955 under the Reorganization Act. And they created states because the majority of the states had cultural and linguistic rights there. Now, Punjab currently doesn't have 5 rivers. It has 2.5 rivers. It has Beas, Ravi, and Satluj. And how many people in Punjab speak Punjabi? It's dwindling. So if Punjab in 10, 15, 20 years' time doesn't have 5 rivers, nor do they speak Punjabi, they could turn around and say, this is not Punjab anymore, and change the name to something else. Then will we have any rights to say or do anything? No, because we haven't done anything about it now. Prevention is always better than the cure. And now we need to start putting that prevention in. As a duty, Guru Nanak went to a pind, Guru Nanak Maharaj went to a pind, and they didn't treat him well. And he said to him, what? Vasdero. He went to a village and they treated him well. He said, Ujjar jo. And Mardana ji asked them, why did you say to the people that treat you well, spread? Why? Because they were good seeds and he wanted them to spread around the world. I believe a Punjabi, a Sikh, in his heart does 3 times Ardas a day, which no one else does, is Sarbat da Pula. They've spread around the world. Them good seeds have spread around the world, and they're on this call right now, but they have a duty back to where they came from. They have an absolute duty. Just because we're here in the diaspora doesn't mean we forget our roots. Haji Tejveer Singh.
Thank you for the great presentation. It was really informative. And like I knew about a lot of the things you were talking about. My one question I had was like, so we talk about like the Sikh infiltration, right? By like, the Babbe and everything. One thing that I always think about sometimes when we talk about 1984, especially, we talk about like the Darbar Sahib attack. But one thing that's not specified is the Sikh reference library, because over 300 Sarups were taken from the Sikh reference library. And we know for a fact that they did not burn down, because the library didn't burn down till the 7th of June. It was set on fire by the Indian government. So is there anything like being done to found or what happened to those Sarups?
Yeah, very good question. Very, very good question. There's a lot of evidence that shows the Sarups weren't, and there was so many things in there. There wasn't just Sarups. There was Gurkha Sahibs from the Guru Sahib's times that had licked by Guru. There was historical references that we will never find. Again, they were taken. They weren't burnt, and it's confirmed from a statement that was released by Vedanti, who was speaking to the central government about getting some of them back. And he actually said in his statement that a lot of the history that was taken away might have been altered. Now, they could have spent the last 40 years changing whatever they wanted to change in your historical books and texts, which would cause further division. We already, we might agree on 99% of things, but we all still fight over things like where does Mool Mantar go to? Do we eat meat or not? Is
Yeah.
Rani? And you know, further kind of questions that might be put in from some of these references might cause further divides. So I
Yeah.
think at the moment it's one of them topics that, like, if we press on getting that back, when we get it back, is it going to be what we want it to be, or is it going
Yeah.
to then change? So there's a lot of kind of issues around that. And again, if you want to change a civilization, change its history. History is written by the victors. They took our history away from us, not in the fact that they wanted to destroy us, but they want to change our course, and we always need to be aware of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, G. Sorry for any mistakes I've made. I sometimes speak from my heart, not my mind. And as a researcher, it's not always the best thing because I'm passionate about the topic. But please do reach out if anyone needs any help. Thank you for giving me this space. Thank you for Pahar Dayal Singh. I don't know if he's on this call. Who's a good friend of mine that told me yesterday you're doing it tomorrow, which is always handy when you've got a day's notice. But that's how we do things anyway. It's great. So hopefully see you guys sometime in the future. If I am ever around, I think I am coming to New York again sometime soon, and it'd be nice to touch base with anyone that needs to touch base. But I think anyone that needs to reach out, my number's in the chat. That's my personal number, and they can reach out whenever. ठीक है जी, वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह.
Thank you very much, sir. We do appreciate this.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you very much.
Vijay,
Okay,
before
thank you guys. You guys were phenomenal.
one second, sorry, Vijay. I don't think we received your number in the chat.
Yeah.
Or is it just me? Not sure.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Virji, if you could
Yeah, I
send
was
it.
looking for it. I didn't find it either.
We will find it and then we'll share it tomorrow with you guys. Since we're gonna. Oh, okay, he's here. He can share.
Yeah, we can share it with everyone. Okay, guys. So
I think I'm sending it as a direct message to Simrat Bains. I didn't realize that. I thought I was sending it to everyone in the chat. I'll just see how I can send it to everyone. To meeting group chat. Okay, I'll send it again. Sorry, I was sending it directly to someone called Simrat Bains.
Got it.
There we go. 788998153. Yeah, that's the one. Is that okay, guys?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, you are good. If this recording goes live or anywhere online, please could that not be shared on the live recording? I don't want the whole world having my number, but I don't mind you guys having it. ठीक है जी,
No worries. We'll take care of it.
Okay, जी भाई खालसा फतेह जी. Okay, so how many of you are still awake? Show me some hands. Yeah. Either you've been drinking a lot of caffeine or you were having a great time. Or was it both?
Both.
Well, okay, great. No, you guys are truly amazing. I mean, this is the most interactive group, most enthusiastic group. I've only done like 3. This is my 3rd one, and you guys are really truly phenomenal. I mean, the energy, the spirit, and enthusiasm is totally amazing. Do you guys have any questions or any thoughts? We had to postpone a very important presentation by yours truly. Can you please identify yourself, Pinder Penji? She had the last presentation. She runs our Umeed helpline, and she'll talk about it more tomorrow. So she does an amazing job, and we're very proud of her. And she's like the backbone of United Sikhs because she's the eyes and ears of United Sikhs. So people, if they want to reach out to us, she's the first point of contact, and so she's going to talk about the wonderful work she does tomorrow. It was very hard for me to stop Dr. Z and Gurpreet, my namesake. It was a lot of information, a lot of information that you don't usually find. And yeah, I learned a lot of new things myself, and I knew there's a problem. I didn't realize the extent of the problem. And we, as United Sikhs, are running, just FYI, are running a project called Project Kirti, where we try to make people self-reliant. We try to keep them off of drugs and off of conversion into Christianity or going abroad. We don't give them e-rickshaws, but we get them a loan and we make the down payment. So the point being that they have to work every month to make the monthly installment. Because if you just gave them the e-rickshaw, they would just sell it and buy more drugs. So we vet them, and that's a very successful project. And similarly, we get sewing machines for, the ladies there, and so we are always looking for new projects. So if you have any ideas, let us know. Like I said in my welcome note, that you guys are going to be our ambassadors going forward, and together we're going to make this world a better place. So we can't do it alone, and we need all of you to be part of that initiative. So thank you so much, and I apologize. I keep switching between my phone and my laptop. I'm on my phone right now. For some reason, the internet connection at my house is sort of really bad. I live in New York, so it's a third world city. Okay, thank you guys. So if you have any suggestion, any questions, please you can ask now, or we can chat about it in the group. Dr. Gabisa, I'll give the floor to you, sir. He's the captain of the ship.
Just wanted to say we have a very interesting lineup of speakers tomorrow. One from Department of Homeland Security about human trafficking, and then we're going to be hearing from one of the most energetic and eloquent speaker, who is also a board member of the United Sikhs, Gurvinder. He's going to build up more on the humanitarian mission of the organization. You guys do not want to miss that. And as well, we have speaker who is from Pakistan, a Sikh from Pakistan, who's going to update us about the existential threat that the Sikh community faces in Pakistan. So tomorrow is going to be more interesting. So we will see you at 12 noon DC time. In the meantime, if you guys have any question, drop it in the chat group, in the WhatsApp chat group. That's all I have here, Gurpreet. So
that's it. Thank you all. And can we have a round of applause for all of you, because you guys were phenomenal. Thank you. Okay, guys. Thank you, Rahul, Harpreet, Upinder, Indrajit.